All right, man. Welcome to the Black Spinner Circle vidcast. I'm your host, Al Horta. Below me is my buddy, Andy Rodriguez. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man? I get to do this, the ninth album by an artist, so I'm very excited about this. It was very interesting. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, let's introduce our guest first. We got Joseph Staub, regular on the show. What's up, Joe?
Doing good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited doing this back to back with a show on Jerry's show tomorrow night, kind of doing similar themes that Al picked. I'm excited to be doing both of them.
Has to do with the number 9. Since we're in the 9th month of the year, September. I can't believe this year's flying by that fast.
No kidding.
I figured. Well, there was 2 ideas, so I saved this idea from our show, me and Andy's show. Then my other idea we're doing on the BS session, I get the listener pick tomorrow. So with Jerry here.
What's up, everybody? You made it to challenge this week, dude. I had to do some serious fucking searching.
I don't know. These stupid ideas pop in my head, and I like to think outside the box a little bit. I don't like to do everything that everybody else does. I just try to fucking do a little something different.
Right. Oh, it's a good one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe somewhere in internet land, so I'm sure somebody's done this fucking shit already. But
I'm looking at bands. I'm seeing. Do they have any albums? I have to look at every fucking album to see if they have 9 songs.
Well, I told Al my short list was 40 albums. I had 40 albums on my short list, and that was limiting it to 1 album per artist.
Right. That's what I managed to do that. So
for this show, I decided to do a top 10 bands' 9th albums. Now, for a band to get to a 9th album, that's longevity. That's pretty longevity right there. Like that's And Andy was like, yeah, let's do the 9th album thing because it kind of like it makes it interesting because when a band gets to a 9th album, is the 9th album going to be like any good? Or is it it's a case by case, man. Because sometimes bands don't hit their there's certain bands, like classic bands I was looking at, they didn't really hit their stride until like the 3rd or 4th release. And then they started getting like then you have the bands that like out of the gate is like classic, and then they just fall off the cliff by the 3rd or 4th release. So but for a band to get to a 9, because there was some bands I looked up, they didn't ever even made it to a 9th album. And I was like, shit, and so I found this kind of pretty interesting like topic to try to tackle. And the list I came up with, man, there's some pretty damn good albums. I mean, albums that I love. Maybe some people won't agree. I'm sure there's a few that's gonna be like, but everybody's different. That's what makes the world go around, and that's what makes music so interesting. So that's the idea. Now the 9-song album thing is going to be for the BS sessions tomorrow with Mark and Jerry. Bands that have 9-track albums, like your top 11. They always do top 11. So that's going to be tomorrow's show. So
that was tough.
I think Joe's going to be on there. Obviously, Jerry's the host. So
Chris Elio, I think will be on. It's a packed house. So
but tonight is band's 9th album. So top 10 plus 5 honorables if you have them. 9th albums. So being that we're in September, the 9th month of the year, we're getting close to ending the summer officially. I know people like to call the Labor Day weekend like the end of summer, the unofficial end of summer. But this Sunday, I believe, is the last day of summer. So, and I'm still doing my summer songs in a day on my Be Cool podcast out, Facebook page. I'm like up to like song 91 now. We're in day 91.
Oh shit! What did you put on today? I can't remember.
Today was what the hell was today? I can't even remember.
Oh, I can't remember what it was. I saw
every morning when I see
Doors. Summer's almost gone.
No, it wasn't the Doors one.
No, it wasn't the Doors because I noticed it too. I said,
today was. I'll tell you real quick. I can't believe it. I don't even remember now.
Hey, Jimmy Schwartz, how's it going, man?
I'm getting freaking. I'm getting Alzheimer's here. Today was Pink Floyd, Saint Tropez.
Yeah,
that's what it was. Yeah.
So
I was playing with that with that beat in my head, I was like, yeah, that does have a kind of a summer breeze.
You don't think of Pink Floyd as a summery band, really.
Yeah.
But,
Right.
You know, there's like that one oddball song by certain bands that, you know,
Yeah,
hey, listen.
Definitely an oddball song.
I don't think of Typo Negative as a summer band, but they kicked it out of the park with Summer Breeze. You know?
Yeah.
So, all right. So, yeah, 9th albums. We're going to do What's Spinning segment. We'll see what everybody's been listening to the past few days. Joe, you got something you've been spinning?
Yeah, so after a couple weeks ago when we did the 2004 albums, both Al and Jimmy, who's in our comments right now, both picked Marillion's Marbles as a album on their list. And it had been a while since I listened to this album, and it was an honorable mention on my list. So I went back and listened to this album, and I was blown away. I forgot how good this album was. Fantastic album, and it really made me go back and kind of reevaluate the whole Hogarth era of Marillion. And one of the things that all of us kind of said on that show was, yeah, this is kind of the last thing that all of us really liked from them. Like, this was their kind of last album where it really kind of knocked it out of the park. And so, just out of curiosity, I went back and listened to this, which is their last album, An Hour Before It's Dark. And I'll tell you what, I didn't really connect with this album the first time I listened to it, but going back and listening to it again, this is a really, really good album. And so now I'm kind of interested to go back and listen to all those other albums.
I gotta be honest, man. I never picked that one up, man. I gotta get that one.
I think you'd like it. It's a really, really good album. There's some shorter songs in it, some nice catchier stuff, but like the whole album is kind of built around 3 or 4 kind of epics that have like parts in it. And so the album's kind of broken down like that. And the album before this was as well. The Fear album was kind of that way. And I really didn't give this album much of a chance when it came out, but I would definitely recommend anyone who hadn't listened to it or didn't really give it much of a chance, definitely listen to this album. I did not expect it to be as good as it ended up being. And so, yeah, my What's Spinning is the last album from Marillion, An Hour Before It's Dark.
That's awesome, man. I gotta tell you, that Marbles album is fucking fantastic. I think
good.
I remember you posted up on your Facebook. I was like, that's pretty much my favorite Hogarth era.
Yeah,
I think that's that and Brave, kind of like.
Yeah, those are the two for me. Yeah,
but that Marbles album is fantastic, man. Is that the 2 discs, the full?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, because I know they had a retail version that was like 1 disc, but you got to get the 2 disc version.
Yeah,
you know. So, all right, that's awesome, man. Jerry, what do you got, bro?
I got a couple. One of my favorite bands, Metal Church. I'm really getting into the dark lately. What a great fucking album that is, man. I mean, this band never lets up, in my opinion. I mean, they got 13 albums. I think all of them are top notch. They've always had great singers: David Wayne, Ronnie Monroe, of course. Fucking Mike Howe is one of the best metal singers ever, and their new guy, Mark Lopes, is just. I mean, they just don't stop. They're like constantly put out great albums, and it's they may show up later on my list, one of their albums, but yeah, digging this one.
I love the fact that you. I love the fact that you fly the Metal Church flag. You always do that.
Oh man, I love it.
I think they're such an underrated, underappreciated band, dude.
Right. You know, I was thinking, you know, I'm not the hugest Anthrax fan, right? And I was thinking, I think Metal Church should be up there, but I'm like, Metal Church goes through too many people, and I'm like, fucking Megadeth does the same thing. They're up there. Fuck it. Okay, I'm also getting into, I can't say I'm getting into David Gilmour's new album. It's hit and miss. It's got some good stuff on it, but there's, I guess he's just trying to do something different, maybe. I don't know. He has the right to, I guess. I mean, but there is some good stuff on here. And
I need to listen to that. I haven't listened to that yet.
Yeah. And also, I always get shit for loving this album, Corporate America from Boston. I think it's a very underrated album. Is it poppy and glossier than their first 2 albums? Absolutely. But I don't know. There's some catchy songs. And I'm a Brad Delp nutswigger. I like anything he sings. So, of course, I like RTZ. I like, anything he does.
Is that the last album that Boston ever put out?
No, live life, live hope. I think it's called.
But that wasn't with. That
was after he.
Yeah, that was posthumously. But there were a few tracks where he did sing where they had it.
Okay.
In the bin, but yeah. I mean, I think everybody should get into that album. Give it another try. They may like it. You never know.
I've been giving Third Stage more chances lately. That's a pretty
I love
good
Third
album.
Stage, man.
Yeah.
I was always so stuck on the first two, and I never really had given Third Stage much of a chance, but I picked it up for really cheap at the record store not long ago. Yeah. I always loved Cool the Engines. And Amanda's always is a great track. Yeah. And so, yeah, I'm digging that album a lot.
I got to be completely honest, man. Third Stage was really kind of the first, because my brother had it on cassette. So really, I mean, I remember, hearing the hits but I never owned the first album. Third Stage was the first Boston album I really ever had, because my brother had that, but he didn't even have the first album on vinyl. And then it wasn't until I went back and I got it, like the first two albums, I was like, but I remember hearing a lot of those songs on the radio anyway, so it wasn't unfamiliar to me. But I think Third Stage always has a special place in my heart, because that's really kind of the first Boston album I owned. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and I think it's a great album, man. I kind of wish I saw them back then in that time period. I didn't see them until like, you saw a Third Stage tour, right?
Night Ranger open for them. That was an incredible show. I was a junior in high school. It was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I didn't see them until like 97 when they had like the greatest hits out and they toured for that. And but I did see Brad Delp live, which was great, so
I think incredible performer. I mean, his voice kind of tapered off towards the end. I think that's why they hired Michael Sweet and a couple of girls to do his high notes, but he still can sing well.
I saw them when Michael Sweet toured with him too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was Corporate America tour, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. I think he was with them during that. So yeah. I thought he added to the band. And Kimberly Dahm, man, what an incredible bass. What a good looking gal too. Oh man, she was.
Oh yeah, the girl that was the bass player. Yeah.
Yeah, Kimberly Dahm. Yeah. Tom always hits a good band together. I mean, not the originals, but is there really any originals?
Well, Gary Peel's been with him for so long. Yeah. That's like his right hand man, and so.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, man, what do you got, dude?
All right, bear with me, guys. Last week we did Rubber Soul. We did a track by track Rubber Soul track listing, ranking the tracks.
Rank the track.
So I said, well, you know what? I'm going to do a deep dive, not into the Beatles, but into 1965. So what I'm doing was that I go to one of my favorite websites called Best Albums Ever. And it starts in the 1950s, and each year has at least 1,000 albums listed that were released for that certain year. So I told myself I'm going to listen to the year 1965 for a whole month, and then go from there, and just kind of like I did the alphabetical with my records, even though I only got to the letter B. This time, I'm really going to stick to it. So I started off because this website has things listed as according to how can I say this? According to things written about the album, magazines, and all sorts of different media that they write about it. So this is no particular order, but these are the ones. Of course, I had to stream some because I don't have it all. But the ones I did have on vinyl was Rolling Stones, Out of Our Heads, The Byrds, Mr. Tambourine Man. Really good album. And the Beatles and Dylan had 2 albums up there in the top 5, actually. So Bob Dylan's bringing it back home.
Hey, you guys, I'm sorry, Andy. Are you guys going to see that movie when it comes out?
What
Bob Dylan movie?
I probably won't.
Was it a biopic?
Yeah, it's like one of those Queen type things, Bohemian Rhapsody type of things. Yeah.
Oh, really? Kind of like that?
Yeah, I saw the previews at the theater the other day for it.
Huh. I didn't even know there was something coming out, but thanks for letting me know. Beatles Help was in the top 5, and so was Rubber Soul. That started this whole crazy thing that I'm doing. But number 1 for that year was Highway 61 Revisited by Bob Dylan. But then, like I said, I streamed some other albums that I don't have, and I'm going to be listening to music of people that I probably have never heard their music, but I've heard their names. So I also listened. Please bear with me, guys. I know I'm taking up a long time, but
no, it's all right.
I also listened to "I Love Supreme" by John Coltrane.
Great album.
Yeah, dude, it was really good. I really loved it. Otis Redding sings "Soul" by Otis Redding, which was really good because his backing band is a Booker T and the MGs with that Stax house band. This was a really good album. I've never heard her before, but Nina Simone, Pastel Blues, man, what a voice!
I was going to say she got an incredible voice. Yes.
Yeah, I'm surprised I don't have this on album or CD, but The Who, My Generation, which I really liked it, and I hadn't heard it in a while. I refuse to listen to this album, even though I've got it on CD. It's Vince Guaraldi's Charlie Brown Christmas. I can't right now. It's September.
Yeah.
No, I can't. The Beach Boys Today, which I do have on vinyl, I just didn't have time to pull it. So I listened to that one, and I was a little disappointed on that one. It was still a very, very popular to me, but it's the Beach Boys. But um, it was okay. Even though I'd heard it a million times, it just didn't rank up there with the other 9 albums I had heard before, and I already mentioned that one. This album here, by the Sonics, called "Here Are the Sonics." You always hear about this band, this garage rock band that started off so
The
much.
Sonics, yeah.
But when I was listening to it, it was like 3-chord rock, which is all right. But then the Beatles and the Who and the Byrds, for that matter, were already playing guitar solos. That's something the Sonics weren't really doing. They were just playing with the rhythm, so it kind of left me kind of flat. The Rolling Stones, Out of Our Heads. I've never heard this guy before, but I'm starting to get into jazz. Just like I was telling y'all, Albert Ayler Trio. I never heard of him before, but that was really good. And also, I didn't know Herbie Hancock had made albums in 1965. I thought this was his debut, but it was like his 4th album. The album is called Maiden Voyage. So that's where I'm at right now. Hopefully, I've gone through 15 albums in a week. And if I'm going to be doing this, I'll probably try to do about 60 or 70 albums of each year per month. So I know. And I'm listening to a lot of these either streaming, like driving to work, or like doing the yard, or just doing something around the house that I usually do listen to music. I'm going to be throwing on whatever year I'm in. So that's what I've been doing. So that's what I've been listening to a lot lately.
Awesome.
Cool, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
All right. Just give me 1 second here. Yeah, 1965 will kind of, I don't know, well, you would think that maybe the first year where albums really started becoming, like, came into prominence, like, sort of taking over.
Yeah, well, that's what we're talking about on the show. In 1965, it stopped just being singles release.
Yeah,
it started making albums as this is our art, this is our music.
Yeah, we were saying that during the Rubber Soul show. I remember. Yeah.
So it's very interesting, and that's why I started. That's why I said, well, let me start with 1965.
Yeah.
And then the way things are going, by next year September, I would reach 1977. I'm really trying to do this because I'm really starting to pick up on different things I never gave a chance to. So
hey, some people read, some people listen to music, man. Whatever
Yeah. So,
I'd rather listen to music, but I read every now and then. But
especially now with football season, because I put a lot of football games on mute, and I listen to music on mute. So
I wish I could have put last Sunday on fucking mute.
Hey man, the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing all right.
Yeah, with no offense whatsoever. So hopefully we're able to win all these. Well, we got to win these really like easy games at the beginning of the season because our last 8 weeks is nuts. So
yeah, try to get the biggest lead you can. It's nuts that the Bengals and Ravens are 0-2.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll take it.
All right, Al, what have you been spinning, man?
Yeah, man. In anticipation of Opeth's newest album that's going to be coming out, Last Will and Testament, I've been spinning some Opeth, and particularly this one, My Arms, Your Hearse, which was their third album. Now, this album, I think Michael Åkerfeldt really started to kind of, the Opeth sound really started to congeal now, started to come together. The first two albums, they were very much more like straight death metal kind of. This one is like the progressive elements really started to creep in on this one, in my opinion. It's got some great songs like April, Ethereal, Madrigal, Demon of the Fall. I mean, this is a really cool album, heavy as shit, but it started getting that progressive feeling. Now Opeth. Well, this is their third album. Now Opeth's the newest album, Last Will and Testament, is supposed to be coming out in October. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've heard the first two songs, man. They're really great. So, and Michael Åkerfeldt's back to doing some kind of death metal growls again, because he abandoned that the past few albums and just straight ahead singing. And I think he has a great voice, but it's kind of cool that he's kind of reintroducing the death metal growls. It's kind of like his trademark. He's one of my favorites, like to go from like clean to like a growl. To me, I consider his growl almost like an additional instrument, kind of like adds to the sound of it. So, I love Blackwater Park. That's like a classic in it. That's probably like their classic. If you're gonna have one Opeth album where like he adds, when he does the growling and all that, Blackwater Park really is the pinnacle of that kind of era of Opeth. If you like the more proggy stuff, obviously the last few albums have been very progressive and a lot of clean singing and excuse me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this new one. I like what I've been hearing. I've also sorry guys.
It's okay. We're all going to be taking cough breaks, I think.
Yeah, man. I'm still getting over like that freaking being sick like 2 weeks ago. I've been having like this lingering cough, but we mentioned Frank Marino, I think on last week's show as well. So I've been spinning. I just got this on vinyl actually. It's a first press. So yeah, Tales of the Unexpected. We were talking about Norwegian Wood.
What I got.
It's got Norwegian Wood on here. So and it's got his version of All Along the Watchtower on here as well. Great album, man. I've been really getting into Mahogany Rush again. I've been like kind of going through, but I started with this album. I'm probably going to deep dive into like, more albums and stuff. I always listen to the live album, so I didn't go to that. I want to like go back into listen more of the studio album. So, but this is a great one. I think this was the last one, or it may have been the one after this, where he was released under the Mahogany Rush name, because then afterwards he would just become Frank Marino, and it would be like solo albums. So I think until like much later on, I think he reintroduced the Mahogany Rush tag again. Much later, like in the 2000s or something like that. But I know it was billed as Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush when I saw him live, and this is probably like 15 years ago already when I saw him, and he was fantastic. So it's a shame that he retired from touring, because he was going to tour, I think in 2021, like right when COVID was kind of, they were letting go of the reins a bit and letting bands start to tour again. And he was going to do a tour, and then like he somehow he had some sort of illness or something, and he just retired from touring. And I was just listening to a recent interview with him. He just did a podcast, and he said like during his time off, he actually hurt his hand doing something. I guess I don't know if he was doing a repair on a guitar or if he was, but he actually hurt his hand, like, and it's preventing him from really playing like really well. So he says he's getting rehabilitation on it. And he sounded kind of positive, like maybe he might come back and do shows. So, I was warming my heart a bit, because he's just too damn good, man. I don't know, man. The guy is just so awesome on guitar.
How old is he, Al?
Dude, he's got to be like in his 70s, I think. I mean, the first album was like 71, I think. So, yeah, man. So those are the two I've been spinning: Mahogany Rush and Opeth. So that's what's spinning segment. So let's get on with the show. top 10 ninth albums by bands that you love. We'll start off with Joseph, number 10. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, this is a hard list to make for me because there was a lot of really good albums, which we'll talk about. There was a lot of really good ninth albums, but also as I was going through, there was a lot of bands where I'm like, oh yeah, no, this band has a lot of albums, but I get to their ninth album, I'm like, oh, well, this album sucks. Like, for example, Yes's ninth album is Tormato. Ain't no way that making my list. Ain't no way that making my list.
Like,
Genesis's ninth album is, and then there were three. Nope, no way.
Yeah,
that one kind of falls into another thing that I texted you guys about a little bit earlier. There are multiple different bands where I thought to myself, boy, if we can just not count their shitty first album with a different singer or a different like band members. So like Genesis's first album that is nothing like Genesis at all, or Dream Theater's first album without James LaBrie. I think those albums like that would have switched because it would have been Duke for Genesis and it would have been Black Clouds and Silver Linings for Dream Theater. Both of those albums probably would have made my list. But and then there were three, and Systematic Chaos did not. So so I do have a good list here. I'm glad with the ones that I was able to pick, but I'm like, there wasn't as many easy honorable mentions as there were on some other lists we've done. But I am very happy with the 10 that I picked. So my number 10 is Monster from REM.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of their comeback to just a straightforward rock album after a couple albums of a little bit of kind of more kind of progressive, kind of like mellow, some stuff going on with Out of Time and Automatic for the People. They had some hits on that. Mm-hmm. And then this is kind of their comeback to just, okay, we're going to put out a straightforward rock album. We're going
to plug in and crank up the amps.
Pretty much. Yeah. This was like probably their heaviest album. You open it up with What's the Frequency, Kenneth, kind of the big hit off the album. And you got some really, really great tracks on here. Crush with Eyeliner, King of Comedy, Star 69, Strange Currencies, Let Me In. I mean, just some really, really great tracks on here. And it's just a straightforward rock album. Like you said, They crank it up, just put out a great album. And this is kind of, they'd follow it up with a little bit of a back step to a little bit more of the kind of progressive with New Adventures in Hi-Fi, and then all the albums that they put out after they became a three-piece. But this is a really, really great album, and it's kind of an anomaly in their later catalog. It's their only album of the 90s that sounds like this.
Yeah.
And so definitely want to check out if you don't know this album, or if you only know like the hits. Definitely check this album out. It's a really, really great rock album. So that's my number 10.
Yeah, I like that. I like that album a lot, dude. I played that a lot when it came out.
Yeah, Peter Buck really does turn up the amps on that big time.
What's the Frequency, Kenneth? That's a cool riff, man. It's an easy riff, but it's really cool sounding.
Yeah.
Heavy.
And I'm like Joseph was saying, was that it was a big surprise coming after the Artie albums before that, and then, because a lot of them were kind of quiet, and there was nothing wrong with that at all. It was them stretching out, and then this one comes out, and you pop it in, and it's bombastic.
And I saw them on that tour.
Oh, did you? I never got to see them.
Because they didn't tour for like 5 years, man.
Right.
They came out Out of Time and Automatic for People, and then they didn't tour for those albums. They just did the MTV Unplugged thing, and that was it. So when I saw them on this tour, I saw them at Madison Square Garden. They played 2 nights there. I caught one of the nights, and they were doing a lot of stuff off the that album and Automatic, and because they had a lot of new material that they didn't play live before. Yeah. So they were doing a lot of songs from those last 3 albums, but they did a lot of classics too. But yeah, man, they were fucking sounded great, dude. I was like, because I had never seen them before. I never saw them in the 80s, so I was definitely pleasantly surprised, man, how great a live band they are. So yeah. All right, man, Jerry.
All right. Some bands from the 70s struggled in the early 80s, and they had to go a different direction to more popular sounds. And this band actually succeeded quite well, actually. I'm going to go with Heart's Bad Animals.
I looked at that one too, man.
Who Will You Run To? Alone. I mean, Anne's voice on fucking Alone is just amazing. Even Nancy's got a few songs. There's the Girl. I Want You So Bad. Just full of catchy songs on that album. I actually like that. I like the Popular Heart as much as I do the 70s Heart. So I had no problem with it. But some people didn't like them, in the 80s. But hey,
they came back though, man. Yeah, I mean they had a comeback, with that self-titled and then that one, and they were getting hits. I mean, I think people complain because they brought in like outside songwriters and I mean, shit, fucking, Kiss did the same thing and fucking, so many bands did. I mean, Aerosmith and Bon Jovi and all that shit, So it was.
That three album run. They're self-titled. Bad Animals and Brigade, man, were monster albums.
Yeah, they were huge. Yeah,
and I like it. So that's my number 10, Heart, Bad Animals.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man.
Yeah, and I don't think anything bad about that because they couldn't go into 1985 sounding like 1977. They just couldn't. So
before that album, they did Passion Works, which was kind of. I guess they were kind of getting there in the 80s a certain way, I guess. I don't know, but and I like that album too. I think that's another underrated album. And I guess, I don't know, people just didn't turn. I guess it's one of those bands that if they would have kept on going, they probably just would have went into oblivion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Their style.
Yeah. I almost parallel them with like Aerosmith. Like, Aerosmith came back and did Done With Mirrors, but that wasn't the album that, you know, it didn't catch. You know, it's kind of the same thing with Heart with Passion Works, man. Like, they were stepping into the 80s. They were already progressing into the 80s thing, but it just didn't. And then they brought in the outside songwriters. And they fucking had a hit with the self-titled. And the same thing with Permanent Vacation by Aerosmith, like same, type of deal, man. That was like their comeback, album. So like, hey, listen, man, they much like them, they introduced themselves to a whole new generation. The MTV. Videos and all that shit, so yeah, that's a great pick, man. Bad Animals. I had that cassette way back in the day, man. Yeah. All right, Andy, number 10, dude.
Yeah, my number 10. I was not familiar with this band yet, and now they're one of my favorite bands in my top 10 personal, my personal top 10. But at the time when I bought this album, it was 2006 when I bought this, and I was in New York City. At this record store on McDougal Street, which is like in the Greenwich Village area. And this is when I started buying albums as my souvenir from when I go on vacation.
Yeah.
So this is the second one that I did that with. And I couldn't find anything. I said, well, let me pick this one up. And it's not my favorite album by this band, but it got me started into this band, Stormbringer by Deep Purple.
Yeah. That's the second one with Coverdale, right?
Yeah, yes, their second one, and I thought it was all right, but then shit,
you got the Deep Purple
blown away, of course, with everything that I moved forward with Ian Gillan. But I want to put this on here because it was a very important album, getting me into Deep Purple, and it's their 9th release, Stormbringer.
Yes. Awesome, man. All right, man. My number 10 is probably going to raise eyebrows already. It's a very divided album by this group, but it's one of my favorites by them. It's in my top 5.
I know what it is. Yep.
It's on my honorable mentions.
Huh?
It's on my honorable mentions.
Yeah. I'm going with The Elder. I love this album. I'm a big fan of The Elder. I've always have been. It's probably because I'm a progressive rock fan. So when they got, I always liked when Kiss took left turns, man. And this is a big left turn. Yeah, there you go.
Huge.
Man. I mean, they brought in Bob Ezrin, who just had a hit with The Wall. So I'm thinking, Gene and Paul were thinking, well, let's do a concept album. Well, Paul, I think it was more of a Gene thing. Paul went along with it, but. I don't know, man. This is one of the early albums I got by Kiss, man, and being into Rush and Pink Floyd and all that, I dig it. I mean, the story is, there should be more to the story. It's kind of disjointed, I mean, I think there's a book on this album, and I never got it, but I need to get it. That I think really kind of evolves the story more. So I need to get it. And I heard I think the whole medieval like kind of thing would make a cool movie, like it was originally intended. You know, I thought it probably would make an awesome movie. It's like if a big budget was behind it and all that. You know, obviously that never happened, but I still love the album, man. I mean, to me, The Oath is still like one of the heaviest things Kiss has ever done. Love that album. I love that song. And World Without Heroes, I love that song.
Oh, that's Gene's best vocal of all time,
Gene,
I think.
Yeah, Gene's awesome on that, man. You know, Dark Light, I love the solo by Ace on that. Under the Rose, Only You. I think Gene's songs are a bit stronger on this album than Paul's. You know, for my preference. So I think this is very much more of a Gene kind of album, but I love it anyway. So that's my number 10.
Well, like you said, it's a bit disjointed, and it's even more disjointed if you have the original version, like I do.
This is the original as well.
Yeah, where the label got their hands on it, and the track listing makes no sense whatsoever. Where you have The Oath kicking off side 1.
Now on the back,
on the back it has the running order that was intended.
Okay.
With the actual plot order. But the one with the actual, it has the hand on the inner sleeve like this.
See, mine's the Casablanca label.
Okay.
This is a West German pressing though.
Okay.
But it does start with The Oath as well on side 1.
Yeah. They started both sides with the singles. Side 1 was The Oath and side 2 was World Without Heroes. And then they just kind of threw all the rest of, like, honestly, side 2 kind of runs pretty close to what side 2 on the actual plot was. But for some reason, they threw in Odyssey as the second to last track on side 2.
Yeah.
It's the third track on the album. And then on side 1, you start with The Oath and then go into Fanfare, which is just weird. But yeah, so thankfully when they finally put it out on CD and then when they put out the 180 gram, it's the right order. But
yeah,
no wonder when people listen to this album in 1981, they're like, what the heck is going on here?
Coke was a flowing.
Oh, well, the Coke was a flowing, but I mean, the label was just like, no, we're not going to listen to what you want. We're not going to put it out like you want to put it out. We're going to put out the singles on the top of each side and then completely mess up the track order.
You ever notice on the back track listing too, it doesn't even have Escape from the Island on the track listing. Does yours have it?
Nope.
Yeah, it's not even on there.
Yeah.
The instrumental, which I love too, actually. I like that.
One of my favorite tracks on the album. Yeah, that's weird. I never noticed that. Yeah. Escape from the Island's on it because it's Dark Light, World Without Heroes, The Oath, Mr. Blackwell, and I.
Yeah.
Huh. Never noticed that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I do like that album, though.
Oh, yeah. I love that album. So, we're on to my number 9, right?
Yes, number 9. Go ahead, brother.
Okay. So, this is a band that I've been very vocal in the past about. I like them. I don't love them. But there is a period of their discography that I do really, really love. And their 9th album happens to fall in that period. And that is Sticky Fingers from the Rolling Stones. I mean, Brown Sugar, Wild Horses, Can't You Hear Me Knocking, Bitch, Sister Morphine. Just, I mean, so many really, really great tracks on this album. And this kind of falls right into that period for me from Beggar's Banquet through Goat's Head Soup that I really, really, really love.
Taylor era, man.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's my favorite era, too. But when I counted up to Her Magic, her
Jerry's checking his copy.
I got the
he has the same one that I do.
That's an original pressing as well?
An original US, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, man. This is the West German one, and I've told this story before about how my dad had a apartment building where the guy abandoned his apartment. This is one of the albums he left behind.
Oh wow!
So,
okay.
So it's the West German pressing, which is cool. It's I thought. Well, I guess there is an original U.S. pressing, but I guess it sold so poorly. I don't know, like if you just got this as an import, or I guess you had to.
What I love is that the inner sleeve, it's like clear plastic, but it has the writing on it.
Oh, that's cool, man. I have a paper. Mine's the paper one.
Yeah.
We're all showing off fuck it, man. I'll show off the album too. Yeah, mine is the just the Casablanca kind of thing, you know. So is yours a gatefold?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it's a gatefold. So
all right, Andy, whip your elder out, Andy.
Mine's a CD.
Oh, okay.
You probably have the remastered CD, right?
I do.
Yeah, that's what I have as well.
The original CDs was very hard to find, you know, back in the day.
And it's this track listing too.
Yeah, it starts off with the Oath.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Where are we going? Oh, so you just did your number 9, Jerry?
Yeah, my number 9 was Rolling Stones, "Sticky Fingers."
Yeah, when I counted Rolling Stones, I came up with Her Satanic Majesty as their 9th.
I came up with "Sticky Fingers" too as number 9.
"Sticky Fingers."
Yeah, it's. Oh, you might have been counting all like the UK and US back to back.
I might have.
I only counted the UK releases.
Okay.
Kind of like the same thing. I don't surprise plot twist. I don't have a Beatles album on my list, but I would have counted the UK for them as well.
Okay. Yeah. Oh well, yeah, definitely. But I guess I'm not in deep to the Stones to know which one was the UK, the US, and this and that. Now the Beatles, yeah. So.
Yeah, I was what I did for the. I'm not a huge, like I said, I'm not a huge Rolling Stones guy either, but I was able to pull up on their discography page on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
It had like a little like parentheses next to each album that said UK or US or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And so I just kind of counted the UK albums, and then I figured. Plus, I know there was like some websites counting down like top 9th albums, and they use Sticky Fingers as the 9th.
Oh, okay. Because I do like Sticky Fingers. I would have had it on my list because I do like that album. It's that Mick Taylor era.
Yep, first one, ain't it?
Fantastic.
First
one. No, Let It Bleed.
Beggar's Banquet was the first.
Well, no, Beggar's Banquet was Brian Jones's last.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mick Taylor wasn't on that one? No.
No, Let It Bleed was the first.
Let It Bleed. Okay. Let It Bleed. You're right. Okay. All right. Did you go, Jerry?
No, it's my turn.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe this band didn't get its classic lineup till their 10th album, actually.
Oh, wow.
Talking about Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah.
Their 9th album, Heroes Are Hard to Find with Bob Welch, is an amazing album, man. I love it. A lot of people don't give the pre-Lindsay Stevie stuff enough listen, but I think they should because there's good stuff, man. Peter Green stuff is awesome. I mean, Bob Welch is awesome. It has great songs in it. She's Changing Me, Heroes Are Hard to Find, Bermuda Triangle. And they're all pretty much short songs. They're not really long like previous Fleetwood Mac albums. But I think it's really Christine McVie's voice is like top notch on this album, in my opinion. So yeah, I mean, if you don't listen to the pre-Stevie,
I got that one on vinyl here.
Wow, yeah,
the pre-Stevie and Lindsay area, man, give it a shot, man. I got like their what do you call those essential CDs you can buy at Walmart, like 5. I got that actually. I don't have any old vinyl of them. I got the classic vinyl. Well, I got the Trees. Never mind. And I think I have another one. I don't know, but yeah, it's a great album, dude. I mean, Bob Welch was a great singer and guitar player in his own right, man. So yeah, that's my number 9. Heroes Hard to Find.
It's had Christine McVie on it already. So
yeah.
Yep. Her voice is amazing on this album, dude. It's underrated member of the band all the way through her career, in my opinion, man.
Yeah.
I liked her better than Stevie personally. I mean, not personally, I don't know, but personally, in my taste, I like her stuff better. Yeah, I know her personally. Yeah, but yeah, that's my number. I'm sorry,
I just showed. If you guys remember on my Facebook page, I just showed. When I got Lindsey Buckingham's guitar pick, which was that's a rarity to get because he doesn't
use a pick.
He doesn't use a pick, but he had 2 guitar picks on his mic stand. And I'm thinking maybe there's a part where he maybe uses a pick during like a part of a song or something like that, but he never touched the picks the whole night. Now, when I saw him front row, this is when Christine McVie had retired. She wasn't in the band, so I kind of missed having her in there. I felt like there was something missing without her, but it was still kind of cool to see. I was in the front row, like I was right in front of Lindsey Buckingham, dude, and then to see him play was like amazing. I mean, the guy amazing player, dude. You know, so yeah, that was the time when Christine wasn't in them until she came back. But
yeah, I was fortunate enough to see the tour when she came back. Their last one, actually.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah.
Lindsay, man, he never left the stage. Everybody else left the stage for a break, but Lindsay was out there the whole fucking time.
I saw the last one where Lindsay wasn't even a part of it anymore either.
Is that any good with Mike Campbell and who else is in there?
The guy from Ice. Was it
Crowded House?
Crowded House, yes.
Yeah, Neil Finn, I think.
Neil Finn.
I
don't know. This two to me just did not feel like they fit in, especially Mike Campbell. I think they did that because he's friends with Stevie, of course.
Yeah,
of course. That's just weird. That's a weird combo, in my opinion. But some people like it, I guess.
I always had this thing where Stevie. It would have been cool if Stevie took the Heartbreakers on tour, after Tom Petty died. Yeah. It'd be cool if the Heartbreakers were a backup band or something,
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool,
Yeah. Well, when I saw Tom Petty, the one time I was able to see him, Stevie was part of his backing vocals.
Yeah, I saw videos of that. Where she did that.
Yeah, it was really cool. And that was the only time I saw Stevie because I never got to see Fleetwood Mac. But like Jerry was saying earlier, I'm one that's very guilty of not listening to Fleetwood Mac before Lindsay and Stevie. So I'm one of those.
I did the same thing with Journey as well. I never gave their first 4 albums a chance, so I listened to them and found out how fucking amazing they were.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought the early Fleetwood Mac days were awesome. Anyway,
all right, Andy.
Okay, I think this is their 9th album. I'm not counting their Australian releases only. I'm counting the U.S. or the worldwide releases. So when I did the counting, I came up with "Fly on the Wall" by AC/DC as their 9th album.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I was thinking about
that is because I looked at AC/DC.
If you count international, if you don't count High Voltage and TNT as 2 separate, then it would be Fly on the Wall.
Right. Okay. That's what I thought too. Because I did also count. Crap. I can't think of it right now. My mind is a blank. Dirty Cheap. I did count that one as being
TNT and High Voltage, right?
Yeah. So I counted that one, and I came up with Flying on the Wall, and I did like Flying on the Wall quite a bit. It was kind of going back to basics on this one. I don't think that what's his name was on here as a producer, which was Mutt Lange. I think it was the Young Brothers.
No, it was the Young Brothers.
Right. Yeah. Right. It was Vanda and his brother. So it's pretty cool to get back that sound that they had came up with, and were just straight up rockers. So Flying on the Wall. Not to say that they weren't, but it was less glossy and a little bit more rocky. Even though I love Back in Black, as one of my favorite albums of all time.
All right, man. My number 9 is Joe has the shirt on. Defenders of the Faith by Judas Priest. To me, it was one of the first Judas Priest albums I ever owned. It was that and Scream for Vengeance. My brother had both of them, and those are the first Priest albums I ever heard. Scream for Vengeance is a better album, but as a 9th album, I do like Defenders of the Faith a lot. Enough to put them on this list. So, some heads are going to roll. Free Will Burn. It starts off with Free Will Burn. That fucking song is awesome. And, I remember the video where he's playing pole position. He's in the pole position car, which was hilarious to me, man. Because I love that video game. I used to play that a lot in the 80s.
Oh, I love pole position
at arcades and stuff. So, Free Will Burn, and what's on there? Sentinel, and I don't have the album in front of me, but I can remember some names. So I think towards the end of the album, it tapers off a little bit. But I do like Defenders of the Faith, and stuff like that. But yeah, it was one of the first Priest albums I ever owned. I still love it. I still love the album. So to me, it was the last. Well, until because I'm not a big fan of Turbo and I'm not a big fan of Ram It Down. So until they came back with Painkiller, that was the last good 80s Priest album, real solid one. So
Yeah.
So that's my number 9, Judas Priest, Defenders of the Faith. So we'll go to number 8, Joe. Sorry if I stole your thunder a little bit there, but
no,
I don't know if it's going to be on your list.
I wore the shirt for a reason. So my number 8 is an album I really love from a band that I really love that I talk about a lot and that I got Jerry into, and that is Expect No Mercy from Nazareth.
Nice.
Really, really great album. And what I love about this remastered album that they put out, there's a really cool story behind this album. Nazareth recorded the whole album, recorded the version that they wanted to release, and the label basically said, "What is this? You're not gonna have any, basically like no commercial potential on this album whatsoever. So you got to re-record the whole album, basically." Wow. And so they kept about half of the songs, wrote some new songs, and re-recorded the whole album. And what they did on this remaster is they included both albums.
Oh wow!
So they included the official album that A&M released, and then in the second half they released the entire original demos for the album. They were basically not even demos; it was complete. They submitted it to the label and said, "Here's the album." And the label said, "No."
I gotta pick that up, man.
And so there's probably like 4 or 5 songs that are the same, but they're different mixes. So Kentucky Fried Blues, Gone Dead Train, Shot Me Down, New York Broken Toy, Revenge is Sweet. It's the same songs, but it's completely different mixes that are completely different from the version that ended up on the actual album. But Shot Me Down is one of my favorite Nazareth songs. Expect No Mercy, Kentucky Fried Blues, All the King's Horses, Place in Your Heart. Just a really, really, really great Nazareth album. And I definitely recommend getting this, the remastered version that has both albums on it.
Yeah.
Really, really great. Really, really great version to get. Love that. They did Nazareth's remasters that they put out on CD are so cool. They put all kinds of gatefold stuff into it. They all have really cool booklets with them that really do a really good job talking about it. So yeah, Nazareth, Expect No Mercy.
Yeah, I got to pick that up, man.
Definitely recommend it.
So which one did you like better, the one disc or the second disc?
I like the official one better because that was the one I was used to.
Yeah, okay.
But it's really, really cool because the version that they didn't release, it's a heavier album. Like it's I mean, the label was right. There wasn't much commercial potential on it, but it was a better, I think it was a more cohesive album for their vision. But both albums are really, really cool to listen to separately. And then also to the songs that are on both to hear the different versions and hear how they changed it for the eventual release.
All right. Jerry, number 8.
Number 8, another awesome thrash band, dude. They have I think they come out with an album every year. It seems like, but I would go with Overkill from the Underground and Below, man. Great album. I mean, fucking Blitz thinks it's their best album, and it really is one of their best in my opinion. I absolutely fucking love it, dude. Great cover of Space Truckin' too by Deep Purple on I think it's like the Japanese reissue, but somehow I managed to get that one, which is really cool. Great band. I talk to Bobby Gustafson sometimes on Facebook. He's a really cool dude. Talks to his fans and stuff on Facebook. Real. Even though this isn't his album. He left a long time ago, but still, yeah, a great band, dude. I love Overkill, man. I've never seen them live, but man, I would love to, man. I'm telling you, I would love. I was going to see Metal Church, but Kurt Vanderhoof got his back all fucked up, and they canceled the tour, which is a dream fucking show of mine to see. Metal Church and Overkill are on my bucket list, man. I hope I have a chance to see both of them. So I think they're one of the best bands in thrash too, along with Metal Church. They should get at least be up there mentioned in the 4. You know what I mean? So that's my number 8, Overkill from the Underground and Below.
Good frick, man. Yeah. All right, Andy, number 8.
Yeah, my number 8 is the one that was already talked about by Al, Defenders of the Faith, by Judas Priest. I'm not going to go over it. He did already, but it's a pretty cool gatefold, the inside of it, pretty neat. I really do like this album, but you're right. This is their last great '80s album until Painkiller came out. It was a really good album after Screaming for Vengeance. Of course, it wasn't going to be better than Screaming for Vengeance. In my opinion, I think Screaming for Vengeance is one of their best. So, but this was a step down, but that doesn't mean it was a bad step down. It was just, a notch below, but it is their most interesting thing until Painkiller comes out. So, Defenders of the Faith by Judas Priest, and Joe's got the shirt on right there.
Yeah. All right, well, my number 8. So this is where me and Andy differ here, man, because my number 8 by AC/DC is "Flick of the Switch." Okay. I think that's like the 9th album. I went according to Wikipedia. I counted, and I mean, not to say that Wikipedia is the be all end all of information, right, but it says on there that I went through the albums, and like the first 2 Australian albums are, I mean, I was going by like international. I think it goes by international. I think it's the 9th album. Am I correct on that, Joe, or not? I don't know. Anyway, I went by Wiki, and it said that Flick of the Switch was the 9th album. So I went with Flick of the Switch, which is actually, it's my favorite Brian Johnson era album. I actually love that album a lot. I love that. Dude, I mean, I'm saying it's my favorite. I mean, I because I'm kind of burnt out on Back in Black. Back in Black is a phenomenal album. For those about the rock, great album. But I don't know, man. I just like the way they went back to like kind of that rawer sound. I kind of consider Flick of the Switch as like kind of their Power Age, like the Brian Johnson Power Age. I love Nervous Shakedown, one of my favorite songs on there. Rising Power, Bedlam in Belgium, Landslide, Guns for Hire. I think it's a great album, and it doesn't get talked about a lot, man. And I don't know. I love the production of it. I love the way Angus and Malcolm's guitar sound on it, And it's the last one with Phil Rudd for a while, And to me, Phil Rudd is part of that AC/DC sound. So that's my number 8, Flick of the Switch by AC/DC. So I know Andy had Fly on the Wall. Yeah. Flick. I mean, it depends on. I'm wrong. It depends.
It was kind of confusing when you look at it.
Neither one of you are wrong. It depends on which country you're counting.
It depends on what you go by. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're counting the Australian albums as 2 separate albums, then Flick of the Switch is the 9th. Yeah. If you're counting the High Voltage with Angus on the cover as their first album, then it would be Fly on the Wall.
Fly on the Wall. Yeah. Hey, listen, man. Whatever.
But the fans got to hear about 2 different AC/DC.
Yeah, albums. There you go, and it's fine by me. So, so number 7, man, we'll go Joe.
All right, an album that I know we're definitely going to be hearing about later from one of the hosts. So if Al stole my thunder on Judas Priest, then I'm going to steal his thunder on that. So love this album, Rush Signals. Not my favorite Rush album. I do love it. I mean, Subdivisions, Analog Kid, Chemistry, New World Man, Losing It, beautiful track, Countdown to End It, just a really, really great album. I always find it so weird that this was the follow-up to Moving Pictures. I always found that so weird because it was basically like, hey, Rush, you guys are big and you guys got a lot of hits now. What are you going to do? And then they're like...
change our sound.
Completely change our sound, make a very uncommercial album, and they still maintain decent hit. I mean, Subdivisions was decently big. They still maintained. It wasn't like they ran all their fans off or anything. Right. I mean, they would in a few years, but I still think this is definitely part of that kind of classic run for them. This is a really, really great album. Like I said, I'm sure we're going to have more than me talking about it here soon. So, Rush Signals.
All right, man. Number 7, Jerry.
My number 7 is Flotsam and Jetson's Dream of Death, man.
Ooh.
Great fucking album.
Jerry coming with the thrash metal here, bro.
Yeah.
I think we did a 2005 show, and I think it was you guys that did. I can't remember a while back, and this album made it. I just love it.
2004 recently.
Yeah. I thought I picked this album for something. I can't remember.
Was it 2004 we did? Yeah, it was 2004.
Because it was
my
20th
anniversary of my wedding.
Yeah,
so.
the 20th anniversary.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But my great song is Bleed, Look in His Eyes, Out of Mind. Is like a 10-minute, just awesome tune. And I didn't know until like 6 months ago, a friend of mine told me, what do you think about the acoustic version of Out of Mind? I'm like, what are you talking about? After like a minute and a half after the last song, there's an acoustic track kicks in, which is like an acoustic version of Out of Mind. It's a real short one, but it's pretty cool, actually. So that was actually a kind of like finding a new song from him for me. So it sounded really good. Again, another one of those bands that you can put up there, you know?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Oh, you know, almost, I mean, just right up there with Metal Church, Overkill. I wouldn't put Halloween up on their level, but, you know, bands like that just almost could have made the four, in my opinion. You know what I mean? And Flotsam and Jetsam, I don't think they made a bad album either. I love them all. I mean, just a fucking great album, great band.
I was just reading that Overkill is going on the road with King Diamond and Night Demon.
Yeah.
So they are touring again. Oh, and Night Demon. No shit, huh?
Yeah, wow. King Diamond is headlining, and it's Overkill and Night Demon are opening.
I want to see King Diamond because he's playing down here in Florida. So, yeah,
I'm thinking about going. He's playing up here too.
I got to check the dates on that one. If in Nashville, I am there.
You would probably go. Is he playing what, Philly or something?
No, Silver Spring, Maryland. The film.
Oh, okay.
That's where I saw the Bay Strikes Back tour with Testament Exodus and Death Angel. Really cool venue, really small place. So it'd be really kind of cool to see King Diamond there. That's actually where Merciful Fate played last year there as well. I missed out on that, unfortunately, but so I'm hoping to get a chance to see them. There's a lot of shows coming this fall, so I got to kind of be a little picky and choosy of what I get to go see.
I mean, Night Demon's last album, Outsiders, fucking awesome, dude.
Hell yeah,
great band. They have some corny songs like that one with nothing but Iron Maiden lyrics in it. That's kind of corny, but for the most part, they're pretty good. They're a pretty good band, man. They really are.
Yeah, that's really not my bag, but I thought that I'd share that with y'all.
Shit, Night Demon and Overkill. Fuck, it's like I'd probably be dead by the time King Diamond came on, man. Fuck, what a great show! I hope they come to Nashville or Knoxville. I'm there, absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up, Andy.
Night Demon did grab my attention, though. I do like Night Demon.
Yeah, good.
We're at number 7.
Yeah.
Mine number 7. This is probably going to be a whole lot higher on y'all's list. But this is their number 9th album, Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath. It's my number 7. This is the deluxe version of it. Disc 2 has some bonus tracks and some live tracks, which were, pretty cool, of course. But, I'm late into the Sabbath Dio era. Ozzy has always been my favorite, so I've kind of late to this one. But, it'll probably be a little bit higher later on down the road. But for now, I can't put it higher on other albums that I'd spend more time with right now. But I'm good. I'm glad that I was able to find this, and especially the deluxe version of it. So, Heaven and Hell is my number 7.
Unfortunately, Jerry, it doesn't look like the tour's coming around you.
Atlanta?
Let me look.
I will drive.
There's no Tennessee dates, unfortunately, it looked like.
That sucks. They've got some great, halls here for them to play in.
They're playing Atlanta, Louisville.
Oh, Louisville's closer, actually. I might take a trip up there. Yeah,
they're doing the kind of Midwest shows. They got a couple shows in Missouri. They got Indianapolis, Louisville. Yeah.
Is it going to be in Tampa, right?
Yes. They're in St. Pete. That's the only Florida show I see.
St. Petersburg, yeah. Which is not that far from me. No. So
yeah, St. Pete's the only Florida.
I might have to join you down there, Al. I might join you.
Yeah, dude. I got a room you could crash in, man.
What's the date on? You got the date on that?
October 23rd is Louisville.
Shit, that's coming up.
24th is Atlanta. 26th is St. Pete.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
shit.
it's right around
Man.
the corner.
That is
So, I mean,
what a great
around
fucking
Monday.
show.
I mean, look what days of the week.
Seeing King Diamond around Halloween time is always great too.
Yeah.
And the St. Pete show's on a Saturday night.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's
Oh,
the
wow.
Saturday
Oh,
before
yeah.
Halloween.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Well,
All right, man. Getting back to this, my number 7.
Yeah.
I was talking about Opeth before. I got the Opeth shirt on. I'm going with Watershed. Album came out in 2007, I believe. 2008. Last album that Michael Ackerfeld would do his death growls on before going completely clean singing until obviously this new album coming out where he's reintroducing it. But he would go on a 15-year, run without doing the death growls on the next few albums. But this will be the last album where he did, where he would do like a growling along with the melodic singing. Very progressive. It's a great Opeth album. I mean, this was Opeth really like in their. I mean, they were like on a stride here, man. They were just putting out great album after great album. And I mean, I fell deep into Opeth around the time of Blackwater Park. So that was 2001. So I was following them by this time, man. So great album. And I have the CD, but I don't have it here with me. Obviously, I don't have it on vinyl. So, but yeah, that's going to be my number 7, Watershed by Opeth, man. Next album would be Heritage, which would be, if you're not into the death growling thing, you start there and kind of, if you just like melodic singing. I don't know if Andy's really into the whole kind of growling kind of singing, but
I'm not, but I did like Heritage, and I did get to go see Opeth a couple of times because a buddy of mine really, really digs them, and he bought, and he's like, "Come on, dude, let's go." I said, "All right." So I didn't know I'd be in the front row, but okay. I doing here, man. That's for real.
Michael Ackerfeld's such a character live too, man. He's always like doing funny shit, and he's like a comedian almost up there. He's like little comedy routines.
But it was a good time, though, man. It really was a good time, and Heritage is the album that I kind of gravitated more to.
And they're fucking phenomenal musicians. I mean, they're unbelievable, man. I mean, because he's such a fan of prog rock, man. Like the old, 70s prog and shit like that. I love when he talks about vinyl albums too. He's such a vinyl addict. If you ever get a chance, look up Michael Ackerfeld, What's in My Bag, where he goes to Amoeba Records.
Oh, yeah.
They have that segment, What's in My Bag, where they, artists show off like what they picked up that day. And his picks are like phenomenal. I love him talking about like, and one of them was The Elder. One of the picks he had was The Elder. He's such a big fan of that album. So,
And it's really cool to see musicians that we love going record shopping.
I love that, man.
It's so cool, dude.
I know. And like, a guy like him, I love, for instance, one of my favorite episodes is Necro Butcher from Mayhem. Now you think like a guy from a black metal, dark, band, he'd be picking like, but I love like that. He was picking like NXS, Depeche Mode, Beastie Boys. I mean, it's such a thing. Like you don't even expect like, wow, these guys actually listen to this stuff. But it's usually the musicians like that are very open-minded. It's the fans that, kind of are closed-minded. Like, wow, this guy's fucking listening to NXS, and shit like that. And, they expect like their artists to be like, the evil fucking black metal, burn a church down. You know what I mean? So, and he's not like that, dude. It's kind of like he's very open-minded when it comes to music. It's very, very cool, man. I would recommend checking his out too. He's very, very cool. Like a lot of the stuff that he picks. He picks like the Cult, things like that, man.
So NXS does have devil inside, so maybe
so
that's what grabbed their attention.
He picks the Beastie Boys. Paul's Boutique, which is awesome.
And that's one of your favorites. But
that's my boy. Yeah, so he loves that album. So anyway, that's my number 7 is Opeth Watershed. We'll go to number 6, Joseph.
All right. So this is the first time on my list, and there's going to be 2 times coming up on my list where I had a hard time trying to figure out what is this artist's 9th album, because there's a lot of artists. Not yet.
Okay.
This first
I wasn't going to name it, but There's an artist I think that it's on your list. I kind of gave up on him, and I just like, fuck it, I'm not picking anything. So,
and we're talking about the same person. I did the same thing too.
So, that's coming up further on my list. If it's the same person we're thinking about, this guy just has so many side projects and wrote music for so many other artists. What even do you count? Basically, okay, let me pull it up. What is a Prince album? What is a Prince album? And so I just decided, okay, I'm going to count all the ones that just say Prince on the cover or Prince and the Revolution or whatever it is. I'm going to count those. And so with that, I came up that the 9th Prince album is Sign of the Times. And so, amazing double album. I think we've talked about it before on the show, the kind of insane year and a half that went into making this album after he broke up the Revolution. And he made a quadruple album and then discarded it, and then made a triple album and then discarded it, and made this weird single album because he was listening to the voices in his head, and then said that they were like satanic and then discarded that, and then ended up taking like bits and pieces of all of those different projects and making Sign of the Times, and recorded some new stuff with it and all kinds of different stuff. And for as crazy as that sounds, it makes a very cohesive double album. And it really kind of comes out the better for it. So you can hear some of that chaos in it. You can hear, there's a bunch of different musicians playing on this. You can definitely tell that some of the songs came from different projects. But it works very well. And so the song Sign of the Times, Housequake, Ballad of Dorothy Parker, Slow Love, Hot Thing, The Cross. Just some really amazing stuff on this double album. And it was kind of like the height of Prince's kind of like really kind of like intellectual period, I would say. And then after that, he kind of went back to a little bit more stripped back. He did Love Sexy after this, did the Batman soundtrack. But this was kind of like the height of his, I'm going to make 500 projects every year. I'm going to put them out under 400 different names. I'm going to put out an instrumental jazz album under the name Madhouse. I'm going to put out The Family. I'm going to do Vanity's album. I'm going to do Apollonia's album. I'm going to do Morris Day and the Time. I'm going to do all this different stuff at the same time and then still put out a Prince album. And this is kind of like the height of that. And it still comes out as a really, really great album. And so, yeah, my number 6 is Prince, Sign of the Times.
He was a workaholic, man. He really was.
And then there was still like hundreds of discs of material that never got released. That was just in his vault that he just like wrote and recorded all this stuff that never got released.
I think they were saying something along the line like, going into his vault or whatever, that they can actually put out an album for the next 100 years.
Right. Yeah.
An album a year. That's insane, dude. It's just insanity to me.
And not to put it out there, just to have it not done.
And they
I wonder if they're completed. I'm sure most of them are probably
some of them
completed,
were.
I'm sure.
Some of them were. Yeah. And they have put out a couple of them. And I
didn't know that. I think it was you that told me that.
Yeah. They actually put out like an 8-disc box set of Sign of the Times that has all of the like aborted albums that became Sign of the Times included pretty much in full.
That's insanity, man.
You get like the full Dream Factory album, you get the Emile album, you get the Crystal Ball album, and you get all that different stuff that ended up becoming Sign of the Times. And so you can hear all those albums in like different forms. And you can hear how he pulled and plucked and kind of picked the best stuff in his eyes, or the stuff that fit his vision for Sign of the Times the best. But it's really cool to kind of be able to hear how that all came to be and where his mind was at throughout that process. And like, there's even the albums that he ended up trashing that he had like 4 different track listings for that he went through at different times, like a month or 2 apart. So like in January of 1987, this was the track listing for Dream Factory. And then in March, this was the track listing for Dream Factory. And then he ended up completely just aborting the whole process and making Sign of the Times. And so it's really interesting to kind of follow that timeline and see how this album ended up the way that it did.
All right, cool, man. That's a great album, man. I didn't have it on my list, but yeah, that's a great album. So yeah, what are we at? Number 6, Jerry.
Yeah, my number 6 is a band that actually started out with a male singer, but they didn't hit their stride until they hired Angela Gossow, and then later Angela White. Arch Enemy. War Eternal, man. What a great freaking album, dude. You're talking about girls. These girls can fucking bring it. They can growl with the best of them, dude. Both of them. I mean, Angela was awesome. I like her a little bit better than Alyssa, but actually, I think she actually recommended Alyssa for that job. But I think she still manages the band, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but she's still part of it. She just didn't want to do all the, the recording and touring and stuff like that. But yeah, another band. I mean, they're not up there as far as, the Overkill and stuff, but I always thought they were a pretty awesome band musically. And, those girls, they could do the growling, they could do the Cookie Monster shit, like Mark says, and they could just get into these beautiful harmonies, man. They could do it all, man. It's a cool band, dude. They really are. I think they've had 10, 11, 12, 13 albums since 1996. Something like that. But yeah, check them out if you're not into them. I think they're a really cool band, man.
I've never got into them. I'll check them out.
Yeah. All right, Andy, number 6.
Yeah, my 9th album for number 6 is going to be a band that I really do love a lot, and that's NoFX. The War on Errorism.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's a fantastic album, man.
The cover.
Yeah, with George Bush as a clown. This was what year was this?
Probably mid 2000s, right?
Yeah. But man, side 1 is great. It's almost flawless. Side 2 is really good too. The 13 Stitches, I got the 7-inch for that. That's got a bunch of other songs around it. Oops, IOD is a really good track. But side 1 has Separation of Church and Skate, the Irrationality of Rationality, Franco and American, which was a big hit for them. Idiots Are Taking Over, which is a great song. She's Nubs is about a girl. His girlfriend has no arms or legs, so she's Nubs.
Nubs.
Yeah, so the war on Errorism by NoFX. I got into them when they released Punk in Dublin, which was their 3rd, I think. And ever since then, I've been trying to get as much as I can from them. And it's pretty easy because there's a record store near my work that is just constantly having different NoFX that I've never seen, so it's easy to pick up. But yeah, that's my number 6.
All right, my number 6, Andy already touched on it, but it's Heaven and Hell by Sabbath. Yeah, dude, I don't really have to say much about it. It's classic album, great Sabbath album. I am more of an Ozzy fan, but I love what Dio did with Sabbath. I love all eras of Sabbath, man. I was always a big fan of Iommi anyway. But if I was gonna pick, Ozzy era was the first era I was ever into. But yeah, man, the first album with Dio, man, was incredible as well. It's a classic, dude. So that's my number 6, Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. Go ahead, Joe. Number 5.
All right. So my number 5 is the one that I think you guys were all alluding to, of that you just gave up on. Like, what do you?
I gave up on
as far as this, and so what I did. It's Frank Zappa.
Right. Of course, yeah.
You could go with Zappa solo albums, but then what's a Zappa solo album? You could go with just straight up Mothers of Invention albums, but they kind of crisscross so much as far as like
the Mothers of
Invention or that.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the easiest thing to do was Zappa's releases all have an official numbering system. And so I just said, fuck it all, and I'm going to pick number 9, and that is Burnt Weenie Sandwich.
Okay.
The only caveat to that is I know that we weren't really including compilation albums, and like I think number 6 or number 7 is a compilation album. And I'm just like, I'm not messing with this any more than it needs to be. This is his number 9 album. This is it. and this is actually one of my favorite kind of 60s Mothers albums.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Really, really great stuff on here. The genesis of this album was the Mothers had broken up, or Frank had disbanded the Mothers right around when he was doing Hot Rats.
Yeah.
And so he took a lot of recordings that the Mothers had done before they had broken up and released this and Weasels Rip My Flesh with those recordings. And so on this, you get Igor's Boogie, you get Holiday in Berlin, you get Burnt Weenie Sandwich, and then the crowning jewel of this album is Little House I Used to Live In, which is almost the entirety of side 2.
Yeah.
Just this amazing, mostly instrumental track. There's a little bit of talking at the end of it into their version of Valerie at the end. But, I mean, the musicianship that you get on Little House I Used to Live In, you get amazing guitar work from Frank. You get, like, a great violin solo, one of the best violin solos you've ever heard in rock music. Keyboard work, woodwinds, just all this stuff really coming together. It's really like, honestly, in my opinion, kind of like the crescendo of that original Mothers lineup that you get here on this. And so it's one of the most progressive things he ever did. It's an 18-minute song, of course. It's going to be a little bit progressive.
Right.
But if anyone thinks that Frank Zappa is just that guy that writes the funny songs about not eating yellow snow, check this out, particularly the song Little House I Used to Live In. The musicianship will just blow you away.
It really does, and I've enjoyed that more lately.
Yeah, it's a weird instrumentation for parts of it, but just letting these musicians that he compiled together as this group do what they do best and just let them play. And that was what he was really the best at, was just getting all these very disparate musicians together in a group and showcasing their talents. And it's no wonder that so many musicians that he kind of discovered or really brought to the fore would end up playing with so many other artists. I mean, people like Steve Vai were introduced to the world from Frank Zappa. Chester Thompson, that would go on to be the touring drummer for Genesis for 30 years, was first in a Zappa lineup. Yeah. I mean, just so many of these musicians that would end up becoming big names by themselves or with other groups were really first introduced by Frank Zappa, and you can hear why on stuff like this, and particularly on Little House I Used to Live In. So that's my number 5 is Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, Burnt Weenie Sandwich.
Cool.
That's one of my souvenir albums that I picked up at Salt Lake City.
Nice.
Yeah. And would you count George Duke as being one of those, or was George Duke already a name when he started out with Zappa?
Was he known already?
Joseph, did you freeze?
What? Yeah, I freeze. What did you say? Sorry.
Oh yeah, George Duke, was he already known, or?
So he had been doing some stuff, but it was really with Zappa that he was kind of
that put him into the.
It was what developed his sound, because I mean, George Duke had done a lot of interviews after his time with Zappa that he was very open with the fact that Zappa was really what helped him discover all of this different kinds of music. He said that he, coming into joining Zappa's band, had a very kind of rigid view of music and what kind of music he wanted to play.
Right.
And Zappa was the one that pushed him to try synthesizers and to try these different kinds of instrumentation.
Yeah.
Because he was very, very against synthesizers originally.
Wow, okay.
And Frank Zappa basically bought him a synthesizer and said, "Here, I don't care what you do with it, but you're gonna use it." Like, I don't care. Basically, when we go out on stage, I'm gonna give you 5 or 6 minutes in the middle of, like, between songs, just to play around with this thing. And like, if you watch the A Token of My Extreme, that TV special that he did, there's this part where it's just George Duke messing around with a synthesizer for like 5 or 6 minutes. And that was what Frank kind of pushed his musicians to do, was kind of get out of their comfort zone, do something different. And it really like kind of expanded their view of what music could be. And I think that's really one of the coolest things about Zappa, was that he basically said, music is music. It's not, there's not a little box that you can put music in. He hated genres. He hated all this kind of like classification of music. His music was just music.
Yeah.
And he hated being called a rock star or he hated being called progressive rock or like any kind of like classification, because he just wrote what he wanted to write. And he pushed his musicians to kind of do that as well, to play out of their comfort zone. He specifically, the story of him writing The Black Page for Terry Bozzio was basically like, hey, I'm going to write the hardest piece of music you've ever looked at in your life, and you're going to play it. And you're going to practice it until you can play it and play it well. And that was what he pushed his musicians to do.
Interesting.
Speaking of eating the yellow snow, I was just on Dweezil's, Ahmed Zappa's show, Rock Tales, this past Friday, and I actually won the 50th anniversary apostrophe off of his show.
Oh, that's so cool.
I called in. I'm a regular caller into his show, and he was playing a game, Fuck, Kill, Marry, where, you pick 3 bands. And the bands that were picked were Depeche Mode, INXS, and the Smiths. So I ended up guessing right. I said that he was going to fuck Depeche Mode, marry INXS, and kill the Smiths. And I guessed that correctly, and I won the 50th anniversary vinyl edition.
That's awesome.
Of apostrophe. I'm really good friends with one of the guys on the show, Brendan Smith. And I asked him after that, I was like, yeah, you want to come on me and Andy's show, man? And he agreed. So we're gonna have him from the Rocktail show on our show in a future episode. I'm thinking of the topic we can have. We'll do a fun game with him. Maybe a rank. I mean, I know he's a big fan of like Iron Maiden, Rush, things like that. So we'll see what we'll come up with something where he'll be interested in.
Yeah,
he's like anytime, man. Anytime you want me on the show, man, I'll come on. So
awesome.
Cool. I want to try to. I'd love to talk him into getting Ahmet on the show too. But
I know.
Yeah, that'd be so much fun.
That would be cool, man. But we'll see. I'll see what I can do. But
if you get Ahmet on the show, you got to let me be on so I can basically blow him for an hour and a half of all the different things that he's done over the past decade.
The show will run like 5 hours.
Oh yeah, for all the things he's done for like releasing all this Vault stuff.
Yeah, he's been doing a great job on that, man.
Yeah, he really has, man. So. They've really done the Zappa Trust wonderful.
Yeah,
I'm just like after the Jimi Hendrix got into better hands.
Yeah,
they've been doing the same thing of doing their legacy.
Yeah. All right, man. Number 5 was it number 5 with
Jerry.
Wow, how do I follow that?
Sorry for my thesis.
No, that's cool. You should actually write a book. That was pretty good, dude. I mean, knowledgeable, man. I love knowledge, so that's cool. Anyway, their 9th album is pretty much a bunch of throwaway tunes. It was after a certain drummer's death. Because that kind of gives it away right there. Led Zeppelin's Coda. I think there's some good tracks on it. I think Wearing and Tearing.
I like that album a lot, dude. I think like it.
Yeah, I like Darlene. And what made it even better was the remaster. They added like fucking Traveling Riverside Blues live version on it, Black Mountainside Live. And one of my favorite songs, Hey, What Can I Do, is on. They put that one on there too, which kind of made it more appetizing, that CD. So yeah, I mean,
the deluxe version of that is great.
Yeah, deluxe version. That's it. Excuse me.
I think it's like 3 discs, isn't there, or something?
Yeah, just 3 discs. Yeah, but nice. I mean, I think those are great additions to it. Like I said, to make it more appetizing, and it worked for me. I went and I had the original, and I got that one. So yeah, it worked for me. I mean, I like that album. A lot of people don't. They say it's just a bunch of shit or whatever, leftover tunes from like In Through the Outdoor, Houses of the Holy, and shit like that. Led Zeppelin 3. But I think they're good songs, man.
Yeah.
Actually, there's not one I don't like. Well, yeah, I mean, Bonzo's Mantra. Well, I even like that too. What am I talking about? So the only song I don't like by Led Zeppelin, you guys know what that is. So Carousel Alhambra. But yeah, I mean, absolutely, I think that should be on my list because I love Led Zeppelin. I think it's a good album. So
Yeah, I need to get more serious about getting their deluxe edition stuff because I've only got 2, which is 1 and 3. Yeah. So I do need to get more of their deluxe.
Good stuff.
Yeah. All right, Andy, number 5.
Yeah, my number 5 is an odd album. It's an album that it's a movie soundtrack by a band. The director of the movie came up to this singer, to this band. The band goes, "Yeah, here, these are throwaways. These are songs we don't even want. So make something out of this." So, I was still living in Corpus, and I got fired from my job at that day for failing a drug test, and 2 security guards had to walk me out. I don't know why. It's like, okay, this is odd, but I didn't want to call my mom because I lost another job. I didn't know what I was doing. I don't know where I was going. So I started walking. I went to a pawn shop, and I found this album on cassette. I bought it. I took a bus home. I threw it on. It just made me feel so much better. So much better. And it's Tom Petty, the Heartbreaker. She's the one. The soundtrack. And when I moved to Houston back in '99, I brought that cassette with me. Well, of course, I brought everything with me. But my cousin that I had moved in with, I moved in with my cousin and my uncle and my cousin. He's 8 years younger than me, but he found that cassette. He was 16. He goes, "Dude, this is awesome, and I love it too." She's the one by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers is my number 6. I would have it, but it's inside my CD case, and the cassette that I still bought is back here somewhere. So, but she's the one by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Absolutely love that album.
Yeah, I love the circus version of Walls. That's a great song.
Yeah, dude, that's got a Lindsay backing vocals as well.
Yeah, the movie was pretty awful, but the soundtrack was really good. So
yeah, the movie sucked, but it was pretty cool because they would stick the songs back there, like Angel. And I just seen Angel. Just a good album, and I'm surprised that Tom Petty just didn't like those songs. And I thought it was a perfect album for that time for them.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So Tom Petty, she's the one, right?
She's the one by Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers.
All right, man. My number 5. I don't really need to talk about it much. Everybody fucking knows it. It's the White Album by the Beatles.
Never heard of it.
I'm not going to go into detail about it, but I, consider one of the greatest albums. It's number. I could put it higher on my list, but there's more. See, I'm not the Beatles fanatic that Andy is, and certain people are. Like, I love the Beatles, but I'm not deep, like, where I know every nuance of them and everything. But the White Album is a great album, dude. I mean, it's, when bands strive to have, like, their Sgt. Pepper, their White Album, things like that, they throw those phrases out there. It's for a reason, because they're fucking classics. So anyway, so White Album by the Beatles is my number 5. And so I'm not going to dwell on it much. Beatles are talked about a lot, so nobody really needs to dive into that deep. So, Joe, number 4.
But so we have another AC/DC situation.
Yeah, so
you're not counting Magical Mystery Tour?
No, because it wasn't counted on. It's called
It is now.
Well, it's called
now a part of their official.
They called it a double EP though, so I didn't include it.
Well, the British version was a double EP, and when they added the singles and as side 2, but that's now part of. It's the only U.S. album that's part of, like, the official albums list. Yeah. Like, if you get the box set, that's their 9th album.
Well, if Magical Mystery Tour is number 9, then I love that album too. That would be there. Yeah. That would be in this spot as well. So I actually love that album a lot.
They were another one where it was like different websites you go to. Some websites had Magical Mystery Tour. Yeah. Some websites had the White Album when they talk about 9th albums from bands.
Wow, okay. I went with the White Album. So
the White Album.
From one band who was like, okay, what albums are we counting, to another band that is, okay, what albums are we counting? This band had a lot of movie soundtracks that I do count as official albums. A half live, half studio album that I count as an official album, and I think we all know where I'm going with this. Wish You Were Here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's their 9th album if you count Ummagumma and More and Obscured by Clouds as official albums. Yeah, and I do. I do. So I certainly wouldn't be putting a Final Cut on this list. Let's put it that way. If we take out the 2 soundtracks and Ummagumma, I certainly wouldn't be putting the Final Cut on this list. No. But yeah, I mean, I just talked about this last week when we were talking.
Yeah, I remember you said some very, very nasty stuff.
I almost wore my Dark Side of the Moon shirt tonight, just for the fun of it. Just for the fun of it, and I would have gotten kicked off this podcast. But
my night was ruined, Joseph.
I'm sure it was. I am positive that it was.
I know somebody else that doesn't like it, so I get it.
I didn't say I don't like it. I said that I don't like it as much. No. I said I like the album. I don't like it as much as everybody else.
Oh,
that was what I said. Right. I don't think they made a bad album between Atom Heart Mother and The Wall. I just think that Dark Side of the Moon is my least favorite of that period. It's okay, Jerry. It's okay. We'll make it through. Anyway, we're not talking about that album. Wish You Were Here, a much better album. Possibly my favorite of that period. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last week. Shine On You, Crazy Diamond, Welcome to the Machine, Have a Cigar, and Wish You Were Here. What run of songs could possibly compete with that, honestly? Just what a great album, sequenced great, just a fantastic album. So, Wish You Were Here.
Cool.
Great album.
All right, number 4, Jared.
Yeah, this album, a lot of people said this is probably their last great album. I disagree. I kind of like them all. Of course, if you mention this band's name, Eric Jordan will always say something about how much they suck. Right? Iron Maiden's Fear of the Dark, man. I love that fucking album, dude. I mean, it's a monster album, dude. Love it. Be Quicker, Be Dead, From Here to Eternity, man. Just fucking classic Maiden sound. It's just funny because Eric, every time there's a Maiden post, he always says something bad about Iron Maiden. It's funny,
hey, Judas Priest rules. That's what he'll do.
Yeah. It's Paul Di'Anno or nothing, something like that. I love you, Eric, if you're watching. You're a cool dude. But yeah, I mean, they were, Adrian left a couple albums ago, and I don't know, Janik, I thought his guitar playing was pretty good on the albums that, he did. I mean, when we replaced Adrian, he still does some every now and then, but a lot of people say he just swings his guitar and dances around, but I thought he had some pretty good solo stuff on that. Solos, I mean, on those 2 albums. Yeah, I mean, I remember getting the CD at Walmart. It came with the action figure, man.
Wow. I liked that they did that because they did like one album from each period that has the little figure. I have the Somewhere in Time one.
Right. I have the
I think it was Number of the Beast.
Live After Death one.
Yeah, it was Number of the Beast, Live After Death, Somewhere in Time, Fear of the Dark, and then I think Matter, Life, and Death were the ones they did the figurines for. I'm pretty sure those were the ones they did the figurines for.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it was, a good album. And as I said before, a lot of people said it was probably their last good album. I kind of disagree. We were talking to somebody who likes the Blaze Bayley era Iron Maiden, so of course I'm not going to.
Well, you're a big, huge Iron Maiden fan.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
Jerry, I disagree with you in multiple ways. I think there are albums after Fear of the Dark that are good, but I hate Fear of the Dark. So I love Be Quicker, Be Dead, and the title track are both amazing, though.
Yeah. I just think it's a great album. It's heavy. It's
I like it
raw, and love it. I mean, I think Bruce's vocals are amazing on it as well. So yeah, I don't know. Just growing up, Steve Harris is always like the fucking rock star for me as a teenager and all that. He was just cool. He put his leg up, on the fucking monitor and just fucking away. I mean, and that's probably why I really started liking Maiden. They were just cool dudes, man. I mean, they just seemed like Dave Murray just sitting back there. He's not really moved much, but he fucking just plays his ass off, And then Nico always smiling back there behind the drum kits, and yeah, I mean, I fell in love with them at an early age, and I still love them. So I hope they have one more album. I mean, Steve says they have nothing in the work, and I know Nico's got some bad hands, so I don't know how far they're going to do with another. I think they're going to do one more. I think. I can't
maybe if Nico's health is an issue, they might write a shorter album this time.
I don't know about that, but
couldn't hurt.
Yeah,
I sure would like a shorter album.
Yeah, I get that. But all you prog people out there should love that. I mean, you love long.
No. That is a false advertising.
This was just pointless and going almost nowhere for 15 or 16 minutes.
Nah, I disagree.
But it's a escape and a pathway, and you find this and you find that. This was just the galloping bass for a long period of time. It's like watching the Lone Ranger.
To be fair though, the last time they did a short album sucked too. So Final Frontier.
I tell you what. Make fun of the galloping all you want. Try to play some of this shit.
I can't.
Oh no, not at all.
Check out his bass line. Well, this is actually for Prodigal Son, for instance. That bass line is fucking insane. You don't hear it too much.
No, he's an amazing bass player.
Yeah.
I just wish he'd do something different every now and then.
Well, I get it.
Cut it a little short because I've got Fear of the Dark on my honorable mentions.
Okay, well, at least you got it. That's cool.
I do. Oh yeah. I had to. It's great.
Yeah. Anyway, that's my. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, but I was just gonna say, like the last two albums, the songs just go way too long. Way too long.
I love the Book of Souls. I like it better than Senjutsu. Yeah, I think it's Stratego, the board game.
Yeah,
that's actually a song on there.
That's a song. That's the song. That's what they opened up with when I saw them.
But
my thing with the last two albums
You're right back, guys.
There's some really good stuff in some of those songs. I just wish they didn't go on for so long. Like there's some nuggets of really good stuff in some of those songs on the last two albums.
It just meanders on like too long.
Yeah. It just they noodle for too long. They don't know when to edit themselves. I think that's the issue. That like if some of those songs were shorter, I think there's some really great parts in a lot of those songs. They don't know when there's too much of a good thing, and then it becomes a bad thing.
Steve don't know better.
Yes, I mean
listen to that writes these songs.
Listen to Bruce's last solo album. It's great.
Right, it is really good. Yes,
like that is. Like if they could do something like that where they edit themselves a little bit, I think that it would be a lot better. And I think that people that rag on them so much would be a little bit more willing to give them a chance. Because I mean, even people that really dislike recent Maiden loved that Bruce album. So I mean, it's not like they just. I mean, you have people like Eric who are just going to blindly hate Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
but. There's people like me that like I don't want to hate Iron Maiden. I love Iron Maiden. I have a lot of Iron Maiden. I give albums a chance. I own Book of Souls. I bought it when it came out. I didn't buy Senjutsu because I knew what I was getting, and that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from the debut album all the way to the Power Slave, man, you can't argue the greatness of those albums. I mean,
I'll tell you what, Power Slave lately. Whew, that
I like Somewhere in Time and Seven Son, but I don't know. I don't know, something weird
I go up to Somewhere in Time as like the classic. I love Somewhere in Time. I played that album a lot.
I think you take off like one or two songs on Somewhere in Time and put like one or two songs from Seventh Son on it, it would be like up there with the first five for me. Because I think there's like one or two weak links on Somewhere in Time, but then like only one or two good songs on Seventh Son. Like you put Moonchild or Infinite Dreams or like maybe one or two other songs onto Somewhere in Time and take off like Heaven Can Wait or something like that.
I like Heaven Can Wait. That's a good tune, man.
I don't hate it as much as like a lot of people do. I know there's people that hate that song, but I think that you take. I mean, Wasted Years is a great track. Side 2 is just perfect for me.
Stranger to Strangeland is awesome song too.
Side 2,
Alexander the Great, Sea of Madness. And they do. Okay, I'll go up to.
For me, if you take side like half of side 1, put a couple Seventh Son songs on it, and all of side 2 of Somewhere in Time, it's right up there with the first 5 for me. Because I mean, side 2, Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, A Stranger in a Strange Land, Deja Vu, and Alexander the Great is a perfect side of music there. And then there's some really good stuff on side 1, but I think you can supplement it a little bit with some of the best songs on Seventh Son. Right, and now that we've vamped for enough time for Andy to come back. Well, back Andy.
Yeah, that worked out just well. Actually, go.
It did.
That's my number 4.
Yep.
All right, and number 4.
You're on mute, Andy.
You there?
Okay. My number 4.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. My number 4, after complaining that Iron Maiden plays too long and noodles too much, this is going to be my number 4. Some people might say the same thing about this album by this band, that they noodle too much, they were trying too hard, but I loved it. That's Metallica's Death Magnetic. They might have noodled a little bit too much. There's a couple of songs on here that didn't have to be on. Like whenever you hear or you've got a song part 3, okay, you know.
Yeah.
Especially with how bad part 2 was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now part 1 was a great classic.
Yes.
Leave it at that.
Yes.
Part 2, and then part 3. What the? It's like Jaws 3 when Jaws 2 is bad. But the songs on here, That Was Just Your Life, The End of the Line, Broken, Beaten, Scarred, The Day That Never Comes.
They got back on track with that album, man.
They really did. All Night Long, Cyanide was a good song, and My Apocalypse. And this was a really good song. And what was also really good was their was the EP Beyond Magnetic. It was also a fantastic EP. So that's my number 4. It's going to be Metallica, Beyond Magnetic. This was because I've seen them several times, and I did go see this tour. And I believe they were with what's the band that Phil Anselmo came out with after
Down?
Down, yeah. Down. So that was cool.
Yeah, I was never a fan, but I think it's better than the previous 3 they released.
Yeah. Oh yeah, by far.
Yeah, I wasn't, huge on that album.
For me, I think the album needs a remix very badly.
Yeah, dude, that fucking album
mix is awful. There's actually a really cool YouTube channel that has done remixes for almost all the songs on the album, and it sounds so much better. I'll have to send a link to you guys and put it out.
Well, the Guitar Hero version is the better sounding.
It is, and I'm pretty sure he used that as like his bass. Like he used but he also had the actual I can never remember what they're called.
The stems.
The stems. I think he used the Guitar Hero stems because it had a little bit of a cleaner sound. Yeah. It wasn't as compressed.
A much cleaner sound.
For me, my 3 big things to make that album a lot better for me. I think it's an okay album. I don't think it's a bad album at all. But I think the mix is awful. I think you can cut a few songs, particularly Unforgiven 3, but a couple other songs too. And then just, like you said, I do think they kind of noodle a bit too much on some of those songs. Edit some of the songs down a little bit. I think you'd have a lot tighter of an album that would sound a lot more like classic Metallica.
I guarantee you the reason why they over noodled and they did all that. I think they were overcompensating for the fact that there was no solos on Saint Anger. So definitely. I think they overshot a little bit with this one, but I think
Hardwired.
I think the next album would be the better album.
Yeah, absolutely, by a long shot. Yeah,
I think Hardwired is kind of a good medium between there's noodling, but not Death Magnetic levels of noodling. And I do like a lot of the songs, though. I do like,
The Day That Never Comes, great.
Day That Never Comes. Yeah. Judas Kiss is a really good song. Cyanide. There's some really good stuff on there. Yeah. I think it could have been a shorter album, maybe 8 or 9 songs with just edit it down a little bit and just a better mix, because Rick Rubin just butchered that album.
Yeah,
but that is my number 4. I remember when it came out, I just couldn't stop listening to it. Because I still haven't heard Saint Anger. I just haven't. I just completely skip it. And Load and Reload are just.
You're not missing anything, bro.
Yeah, and the Load and Reload is I try and I'm like, dude, this is half an hour, hour and a half long. What the fuck?
There are select songs on Load and Reload.
I like a lot of Load, but Reload's awful.
Yeah, there might Reload's only really maybe 1 or 2 songs that I like, but I love Bleeding Me. I think that's
Love that song.
I love James's vocals on that. That was it. The last song was it
Outlaw Torn.
Outlaw Torn's great. There's a lot of filler on that album, though. But what's good is good. I mean, I do like Hero of the Day. Although Hero of the Day,
I like that song a lot. I do like that song.
I like the symphony version of that song, the S&M version. Love that. I love that. I love the way James sings with like the feeling in that song. I've mentioned it before. I love that. I love that version of the song. But yeah, but they got back on track with this album, man.
Yeah, they did.
All right, so my number 4 has been mentioned before by Joseph. It's Sticky Fingers by the Stones. I'm not going to dwell on it too long. Mick Taylor era, my favorite era of the Stones. This is a classic album. There's a lot of great songs on here. Admittedly, I've admitted on the show that I lean more on the Stones than the Beatles. If we're talking about the two, I lean a little more to the Stones era, Stones side. But I mean, I love the Beatles too. But I mean, the whole run of Mick Taylor, dude, is just to me like when the Beatles ended and that started, that the Stones took over, dude. They became the band. So I'm going with Sticky Fingers as my number 4. Number 3, Joe.
All right. So it's the shirt I'm wearing. A lot of people talked about it already. Defenders of the Faith. I mean, I would agree. I think it is a little bit of a step down from Screaming for Vengeance. I like that album better. But yeah, still, I mean, Free Will Burning, Sentinel, Love Bites, Eat Me Alive, Some Heads Are Gonna Roll. Night Comes Down, which I think is such an underrated track on this album.
Amazing on that album.
It's just such a great, heavy album.
Yeah.
Like you guys said, it's kind of their last classic of the 80s. I like 3 or 4 songs on Turbo. I like 2 or 3 songs on Ram It Down.
Again, if you put those 2 albums together, it could have made it really good.
I don't even think it would be a full album, but in my opinion, I don't think it would make one full good album, but a really, really strong double EP.
Double EP.
Honestly, you get like a 6-song EP, I think it would be perfect for those 2 albums.
You got to put Johnny B. Good on that one too, man.
No.
I love it.
Funny joke, Jerry. Tell it again.
What's that about Johnny B. Good? Jerry?
I think my microphone. I think my earbuds were going out. Say that again.
I remember when I first heard that song. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I just didn't get that at all.
And they put it on an album.
Yeah.
Like, I understand it's like if you're like doing it for the soundtrack and like you just put it out and you kind of bury it on a soundtrack somewhere.
Yeah, well, you didn't need to put it on the album.
Yeah. No.
And the movie sucked too. It was like a double whammy with that. The movie was awful. The song was awful.
Because they fucked up and they were offered to do Top Gun, and they turned it down.
Imagine Judas Priest doing Top Gun. That's an alternate reality that I.
Well, Reckless is supposed to be the song, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Anyway.
Well, you can't choose wisely all the time. So
no.
I mean, look at their discography. It's fucking awesome. So who cares?
But I never thought I would hate a movie about football until I saw Trying to Be Good.
What was that? Anthony Michael Hall? Who was that?
Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah, it was Anthony Michael Hall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
That one? Yeah. I just remember that movie. I seen it once at the theater with my girlfriend Dina, and it was just fucking terrible. Yeah.
Cool. And Robert Downey Jr.
Yep.
What was her name?
He always played the goofball friend. Yeah, the comic relief, the more comic relief, like
Uma
Back to
Thurman?
School with Weird Science. Yeah.
Yeah, Uma Thurman was in there.
Really? Was she in there?
Yeah, she was the girlfriend.
Was she really?
Yeah.
Like I said, I've only seen it once at the theater, but that's actually pretty good cast.
A little bit too young for Johnny, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
All right,
what are we on here?
Jerry's number 3.
Jerry, go ahead.
Yeah, my number 3 is I'm so excited because I know these guys had more than 9 albums. I'm like, oh boy. I look through. Am I going to get Pieces of 8 or Paradise Theater? But I ended up with Cornerstone, which I still like a lot. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't think Tommy and James have done a song off that in forever. So
no, I've seen Styx 5 times, and it's the only classic album that I've never seen them play anything off of. But they have done. They played Lights a little bit earlier this year. I would love to see them do that.
Oh no, they have done Lights a few times. You're right, they have done.
And they've done Boat on the River a few times.
Yes, I'm sorry, Lights and Boat on the River. You're right, but they haven't done it in a while though. They did Boat on the River when I saw them at the Symphony place actually. So yeah, you're right. But it was probably the album that started their downfall, I think, with the band. They kind of got into two camps there. You got JY and Tommy on one side, Dennis on the other. But I actually think, according to the Beyond the Music, I think Dennis was actually fired for a little while during that album. But they wanted him back. But say what you will about Dennis, but his songs kept that band alive with money wise.
Commercially, yes.
Yeah,
musically, no.
But I mean, Babe was just a monster hit. Don't Let It End was a huge hit. I mean, you can't argue the success of his slower songs. But I get it, man. I'm like, how many more fucking they wanted to do First Time as this thing. Well, that was funny. Tommy's like, ain't fucking doing that. That song's terrible anyway. That's too sappy for me. But it has great Borrowed Time, Eddie, Why Me. There's some great songs off it though.
I'm so torn with Borrowed Time because the studio version I think sucks.
Really?
I love the song. When they brought it out live like 10 years ago or so, and there's some really good versions of it on YouTube. And
I've never seen them do that song live.
It sounds better because Tommy and JY are trading vocals on it. And they sound so much better than Dennis singing that song. Dennis made that song so hokey. Well, here comes the 80s.
Look out now, but here comes the 80s.
And then the yes, no. Oh my God, it's so bad.
No.
It's so bad.
Well,
and they cut that stuff live, and I like that they cut that stuff live. Yeah. Like even when they did it on the Cornerstone of the Paradise, there's a really good pro shot of the Paradise Theater tour. In actually down the Washington D.C. show, was like one of the last shows on the tour. There's a really good pro shot of it, and they play Borrowed Time. And the live version, even with Dennis, is so much better than the studio version. It's heavier. They kind of cut a lot of like kind of the schmaltzy crap, and I hate. That's the big reason that I am not a Cornerstone fan is the production just is not good. Like it's too light of a production, especially coming off of Grand Illusion, Pieces of 8 that are so like great sounding albums. I think Cornerstone just, aside from just the songs in general, it just feels lighter.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I mean, that sandwich being stuck between Pieces of 8 and Paradise Theater, it's just I hear you. It doesn't really. Paradise Theater was to me, that was them getting back to what they were. I mean, it was a concept album yet again, but
that's the thing is like of what from after Pieces of 8 when the band really started to get really fractured, they put out 3 albums and only one of them is good, and it's Paradise Theater.
Right.
They put out 3 albums and it only worked once.
Yeah. I'm surprised they actually do Mr. Roboto now. They've been doing that for a few years. I'm surprised they actually do it.
I'm tired of it.
They did that the last time I saw
them. I saw the first time I ever saw Styx was the first tour that they brought it back in 2018, the Mission tour. And that was the first tour they brought it back. And they have literally played it at every single show since.
Their encore
once. It's Mr. Roboto and Renegade every show.
Oh, I thought it was Rockin' the Paradise.
That's earlier in the set.
Yeah. That's what I saw was Mr. Roboto and Rockin' the Paradise when I saw them last time.
Yeah, all 5 times I've seen them since 2018. The encore is Mr. Roboto and Renegade every time.
I haven't seen them since 2015. So
like their set lists are, I will say they're getting a little stale. But they do it every now and then. Throw some stuff in, like they brought Best of Times back this year for the first time in like a decade. But it's just getting. I wish, and especially like for 2 guys that are so vocal for how much they disliked Gilroy, the fact that they for the last 6 years played Mr. Roboto at every single show after not having played it for 35 years.
Yeah,
I'm done with it.
I was just never a big Lawrence Gowan fan. When he first joined the band, his voice was okay trying to do Dennis songs, but as now to present, he seems to have lost a lot of his voice and he just butchers Lady, in my opinion, man. I wish they wouldn't do that song, but I know everybody wants to hear that song.
He does a great job.
Really? I think that and Come Sail Away, he just butchers it, man.
I love it when he does it.
Cringe-worthy to me. I think he do like Grand Illusion and stuff like that really well. But I don't know, man. Not a big Gowan fan. I do like his stuff on the Mission. I don't like Crash of the Crown at all. You know that. I do not like that album. I think it sucks.
The one song they played on Sunday that I had not gotten to see them play before off Crash of the Crown that I really enjoyed. It kind of gave me a new appreciation for it. Was they did Our Wonderful Lives, which Tommy comes out and plays the banjo on, which is kind of, he tells the story about how he, over COVID, one of the things he did was learn to play the banjo. And so he wrote that song. I really like that song. I thought that song sounded really cool live as well.
But I thought the Mission was much better than Crash of the Crown, in my opinion. But anyway, I'm taking too much time on that. I'm sorry, guys. Let's Cornerstone stick.
All right, Andy, number 3.
Yeah, my number 3. I am going with this guy's done solo stuff and then with a band, but it's pretty much all him anyway. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band, When Night Moves, as my number 3.
Oh shit! I never looked into Bob Seger. Damn, wish I did.
Great album.
That's a great album.
Rock and Roll Never Forgets, Night Moves, The Fire Down Below, and Sunburst.
Great album.
Sunspot Baby.
Sunspot Baby.
Main Street.
Yeah.
Cool.
Bob Seger, Silver Bullet Band.
That's his best album, in my opinion.
Moves. I like Stranger in Town a little bit more. I love Stranger in Town.
Can't go wrong either one of those picks.
Yeah, both
Against
of
the
those are
wind.
just back and forth.
Yeah.
All right, man. My number 3, my favorite album by this band actually happens to be their 9th album. That's Thin Lizzy's Black Rose.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Gary Moore on this album just fucking kills it. Him and Gorham, just the tandem team of those two. Sometimes I wish Gary Moore would have done more albums with them, but this is the only full album he ever did. He did a song or two, on some previous albums, but this full album, man, I love this album. I'm a huge Gary Moore fan, and this album just fucking rules. As a matter of fact, I was toying with the idea of actually putting this number 1, but it falls to number 3. There's 2 albums that I like. Well, I'm not gonna say I like more than this one, but it's just the bands I like. The bands themselves, I'm more of a fan of. But I've been a huge Thin Lizzy fan in the last decade, and this became my favorite by them. So 1979, Gary Moore with them, Black Rose, Thin Lizzy. I love it, dude. So we did the Thin Lizzy show earlier this year with Butch Jones, man. I got to get him back on the show too.
Yeah.
So that was
in March.
Yeah. For St. Patrick's Day. So yeah. So that's my number 3, Black Rose, Thin Lizzy. Number 2, Joe.
All right. So this falls right pretty much dead in the middle of an almost perfect discography to me, and that is Motorhead 1916. I mean, amazing album. One to Sing the Blues. I'm So Bad, Baby, I Don't Care. No Voices in the Sky is one of my favorite Motorhead songs.
Love that song.
Nightmare of the Dreamtime, Ramones, and then it closes out with one of probably the most beautiful, poignant song that Lemmy ever did. And for people that don't think Lemmy can write a ballad, the title track, 1916. You ever want to hear a Motorhead song that'll make you cry?
Yeah.
Listen to 1916. I mean, Lemmy, of course, as everybody knows, was a huge history nerd and wrote a song basically putting himself in the position of a World War I soldier that's dying in the trenches. And it's just insanely like a beautiful song with the instrumentation, but the lyrics are just so powerful. Like, just it's if you're not a Motorhead fan, because I know there's a lot of people that are like, I'm not a big fan of Lemmy's voice or whatever, do yourself a favor and listen to 1916, because it is one of the most impactful songs you'll ever hear, especially for a band that was just known for playing straight ahead rock and roll. Like, it was so out of left field for them, and it works so well, especially as a way to end an album. It's just like, it has an orchestra on it. Like, it's something you never thought you'd hear on a Motorhead album.
Yeah.
But it just works. And I think it's a perfect way to close the album out. It's one of my favorite Motorhead songs.
Yeah.
So,
that's the only Motorhead album I own. I was at a record store, and at a record convention and it was $1. I said, you know what? Why not? So I brought it home and I played. I said, this is completely different from what I've always thought of and always heard from them, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was so different from what I perceived it to be. Good call, 1916.
Yeah, I actually was a late arrival to Motorhead. I didn't really care for them until I got into my 30s. I just fucking just started listening to them more and more and fucking just fell in love with them, dude. Great, hard, no apology, you know, because they were all over Headbangers Ball, and I was always, you know, going to the bathroom or something. I didn't really care for them at that time, but I really grew to love them, and they were, you know, they were an amazing band, dude. It's, like I said, it fucking sucks. People got to get old and die, man. It really is. Man.
I just knew their hits, you know, and so like I said, 1916 is the only album that I do have by them, and I do need to get more. But you know, right. I'm really not a guy that goes on Amazon. I might, but for special stuff. But I really like going to stores and whatever I find and hunting the good deals.
Well, yeah, I don't have them here, so I got to go to Amazon.
Oh yeah, of course. A lot of people have to.
Yeah, you have a couple of antique stores that sell some pretty good older stuff, but
right.
Yeah, new releases. I mean, if it's not at Walmart, we don't even have a fucking Target here, so.
Like Jerry said, it sucks that 3 of the 4 guys on this album are no longer with us. Like, I mean,
there's 2 left right now: Mickey D and
Phil Campbell.
Phil Campbell, yeah. Rest of them. What did Wurzel die of? Did he die recently or a while back?
He died quite a few years ago already.
Was it a few years ago?
Ish.
Yeah. I don't even remember him dying. And he was a trip. I mean, he was, a replacement from God. Who was their original guitarist?
It's fucking Clark.
Eddie Clark, Fast Eddie Clark. Yes, duh.
And when Wurzel died, 2011.
Yeah, was it 2011? Okay, yeah. I don't think I found out until later that he was.
He had a heart condition.
Oh, did he? All right.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Jerry, what do you got for 2?
All right. Yeah, my number 2. I will not have a band song from or a CD from the album that I'm wearing, but because that album sucked. I think it was right, something like that.
Probably
terrible. But I'm gonna go like Al mentioned. I carry the flag of this band, and I don't care. Metal Church, this Present Wasteland, dude. I love that album. My second favorite Metal Church song, Deeds of the Dead Soul, man. It's like this epic metal classic. It's a ballad, it just rocks, dude. And just A War Never Won, Mass Hysteria, Breathe Again. Just great fucking tunes off this album. Take off Anthrax and put Metal Church there, please. Sorry. I know. I got ribbed today. It's like, I forget what site it was. It's like, name a band that you want to piss off their main fan base. And I picked Anthrax, and actually a lot of people agreed with me. I was surprised. So good. I said Joey Belladonna Anthrax is what I said. And a lot of people agreed with me. Then somebody wrote Taylor Swift. I'm like, I kind of like Taylor. And holy shit, I got a line that she fucking sucks, dude. How can you like her?
You get rid of these guys too.
Like what I like, man. What can I say? But anyway, this Present Wasteland, Metal Church, one of my favorite bands. So that's my number 2.
Andy, number 2.
Wish You Were Here, Pink Floyd, of course. We talked about this today, last week, the week before. So I'm not going to dwell too much. We all know. And if you're watching this podcast, a Black Spinner with me now, you know this album. I mean,
never heard of it.
So Wish You Were Here. Absolutely love it. I actually have the Wish You Were Here shirt with this on it, with a diver around the world.
Yeah.
I love that. And mine did come with that great sticker with a mechanical arm and.
Yeah, the little round one, right?
Yeah. And I took it off and I put it on my guitar that I don't know how to play. So I sold my guitar and I couldn't take the sticker off. Oh, crap. So I'll never find it again. If I do, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, Wish You Were Here, my number 2.
Andy, you can hold that back up, man, because it's my number 2 as well.
You got it.
Yeah, what is there to say about that album? I mean, it's just a classic of classics, dude. My favorite is actually the album that follows that one, but it's tough to not love this one either, man. It's fucking just incredible. Look at that vinyl, man. It looks good.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, man, it plays fantastic.
Yeah. I don't have that on vinyl, actually, which is crazy.
I have it down here somewhere.
Yeah. I have it, I have the CD. I have that Shine On box set.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I love that box set where you put all the spines together, it makes the Dark Side of the Moon thing. But obviously, that's part of the album in there. So I never really.
Don't tell Joseph that.
What's that?
I don't hate the album.
I'm just picking, man.
I know.
I do have as far as Wish You Were Here too. I have a special edition, like a super audio CD that has the surround sound version of the album. I never got the super deluxe box set, but I got the super audio CD, which was enough for me to get the surround sound version, and it sounds incredible. I mean, Pink Floyd and surround sound were like made for each other.
Oh yeah,
I mean, that's just the format that like Pink Floyd's like the first band like I think of when I think of surround sound. I mean, it's just fucking. It's like listening to the album for the first time again. No matter how many times you've heard the album, when you hear it in surround, mixed in surround, dude, it's just incredible. So, and that's one of the albums I have. The Animals one is fucking awesome. I mean, if you have a surround setup, man, you can find some Pink Floyd, man. Just get it, So it's so worth it. Anyway, that's my number 2. So we'll go number 1.
All right, guys. Here we go with the number 1 album. This is our number 1 9th album by a band.
Joe, take it away.
So my 9th album is one that's already been mentioned a couple times on the show, and I cannot, for the life of me, find my CD, and that is Black Sabbath, Heaven and Hell. Absolutely love it. Thank you, Al. Thank you. I absolutely love it. I think, to me, I do love the Ozzy era more, but I think that album was a breath of fresh air after a couple of subpar albums.
Oh yeah.
Great to have Ozzy be able to do his thing and let the Heaven and Hell lineup do their thing. And I think that there's so much awesome music coming out of both camps at that time. And I mean, Neon Nights, Children of the Sea, one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs ever.
I love that.
Die Young, Wishing Well, the song Heaven and Hell, Lonely is the Word, Walk Away. I mean, just so many great songs. And I do love Mob Rules, but I think Heaven and Hell, I don't think Dio with Sabbath ever touched that ever again. I think that it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, they put out their album, and I think that it's just still to this day one of my favorite albums to pull out and just throw on. For a band to be able to reinvent themselves like that with a new singer, and as we've talked about before, most likely a new drummer. I don't think Bill Ward played on that album. I do not. I don't.
Because it's also kind of a new sound too.
It was very different.
Yeah, it's very different.
It was a very different sound to what they had been doing with Ozzy. Because I mean, Sabotage had it a little bit, but the last 2 with Ozzy were a very different sound to what they had been doing the first kind of era. Yeah. And then again, they switched sounds to kind of go with a more kind of straightforward rock vibe on this album, with some heavy elements in it. But really, you can see Dio's influence. It sounds much more like what Dio would kind of continue to do. Than what Tony would continue to do with all the various Black Sabbath lineups after Dio left. But yeah, no, Heaven and Hell's my number 1, easily. Such a great album. All right. Andy, you can probably hold that album up for Jerry again.
Oh yeah, I know what Jerry's going to do.
Yeah.
All right, my number 1, Neil Diamond. No.
Which one?
Yeah, you can pull it out.
Of course it's going to be Wish You Were Here, man. I mean, love that album. And I'm so excited because I watch this tribute band called Brit Floyd every year. Me and my buddies go to that every year. Amazing show. I mean, it's the closest thing you're going to get to a Pink Floyd show, in my opinion. And they're going to do the anniversary this time. I think it's 40th.
Yeah,
40th, right?
50th.
Yeah,
no,
50th. 50th. Jesus Christ, I'm old. But they're gonna do that in its entirety. I'm looking forward to that, man. I mean, I think it's it's one of the best. I think they are the best tribute band I've ever seen. So if you ever get a chance to see them, man, do it, man. You're not going to regret it. Seriously, I got lucky. I came across it because I got a free ticket. I'm like, tribute band, this and that. But was completely fucking blown away by the stage show and the musicianship. Out fucking standing, dude. But yeah, I mean, if you know me, I mean, of course it's gonna be number one. I mean, Shiny Crazy Diamond 1 through 5. I even like 6 through 9. It doesn't get enough love in my opinion. That's good shit. Have a Cigar, man, with Roy Harper on vocals. Took me like 30 years to realize that was him. But I just didn't take that long. I'm just kidding. But Wish You Were Here. I mean, fuck. I mean, one of the most epic songs ever written, in my opinion. And and of course, Welcome to the Fucking Machine, dude. Man, just a banger of an album. Yeah, I quoted Nate there, a banger. But yeah, great fucking album, dude. No doubt for my number one.
Awesome. Andy.
My number one might be controversial now that the way that Al said it, but Magical Mystery Tour. It's gonna be my number one.
That's all right, man. I love that album too, bro.
This album just it starts off with Magical Mystery Tour, The Fool on the Hill. Flying is a great instrumental. Their only instrumental, actually. Flying and Blue Jay Way. It's a fantastic track. I love Georgia Sloan. Your mother should know. I wish I had a pair of scissors and stab them in my ear. I hate that song. But then they come back with I Am the Walrus. You flip it. And I know that this was a couple of singles, but when they put in Hello Goodbye and Strawberry Fields Forever, come on. I mean, that's amazing. And then Penny Lane and Baby You're a Rich Man, and it ends with All You Need Is Love. I mean, dude, there's so many great songs that stand out on this album. And this one here, I had bought it. This is a reissue, and I really try to take really good care of it. This has the booklet from the movie, so that's pretty cool too. It's like a 24-page booklet of the movie with different scenes. I started to see the movie once, and it looked like a pile of shit. So
it's awful. It's awful. Yeah, my aunt had it on VHS when I was younger. I used to watch it quite a bit. It's awful. It's awful.
And
it was better than the Monkees one, though. The Monkees one was worse, I thought.
Oh yeah, no, Head is. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, Head was. I can't finish Head. I just can't. They just smoked a whole bunch of dope with Jack Nicholson and made a movie.
Yep.
It's weird.
I think that's what they were trying to do. Match Sgt. Pepper's, right? Wasn't that what they were trying to do? Like, it was weird. I don't know.
And the same thing with Frank Zappa's 200 Motels. Oh my god. Ugh, I couldn't sit through that. I got the soundtrack on vinyl, which is the
great soundtrack.
Really great. I mean, man, if you want, it's got everything that Zappa can throw in there. But the Beatles, Magical Mystery Tour is my number one. Absolutely love that album. I got into that album probably when I was a sophomore in high school. So, yeah, Magical Mystery Tour by the Beatles, my number one. All right, what's your number one, man?
Yeah, Rush Signals. Love this album. Yeah, like I was there almost kind of in real time. When this album was first released, it was like the dividing line was actually kind of drawn. After Moving Pictures, a lot of people did not like this album at first. I think it's grown in stature. It's become a classic in its own right. But it was such a 180 departure from what Moving Pictures was that a lot of people they were like, what the hell's going on? Like a lot more keyboards in there and things like that. I think the songwriting is fantastic on here. The songs are awesome. I think Alex plays his ass off on here still. And I just love the songwriting on here, man. Analog Kid is one of my favorite songs, and it's one of my favorite Alex Lifeson solos. So I think he burns up on that song, dude. Losing It, has become one of my favorite songs by them. It's such a as you get older, you relate to the lyrics of that song. As someone who, and it kind of like almost parallels like Neil's life. As when Neil got older and he started losing his abilities and things like that. It just kind of sucks, dude. But it's what happens when you grow older and and you relate to the song more. You relate to the lyrics. So.
Yeah, for somebody that was losing his ability, he still was fucking amazing.
Well, I'm talking about after the last tour, then when he
gotcha, okay,
he got the cancer, and it almost kind of like parallels the song, when he's writing about it in this song. It's almost like he wrote about himself. He was writing about like now I can't remember one of the authors that he really admired. Whereas later in life, the author, I think he started getting like dementia and stuff like that. And he would stare at a blank page and he couldn't write anymore. And it just sucks, dude, when something like a disease like that takes over your life.
It's terrible. It's awful, man. My dad went through that shit. It's terrible.
My grandmother went through that. That's a bad thing to see brilliant minds.
Yeah. You lose your humanity, man. It's sad.
The whole sad thing for me about Neil is that he was this intellectual guy that he wrote these intelligent lyrics and everything, and the irony of it is that he got brain cancer. I mean, to me, that's just the ultimate like fucking slap in the face.
Exactly.
And he retires from touring. He has a new family and he can't even enjoy he enjoyed maybe a couple of years of that and that was it. His life is over, he got a chance to start over again. He lost his whole first family, and I mean, I mean, the burden that must have been on this guy's shoulders, dude, like to go through shit like that, to have a second chance and remarry and have a beautiful daughter again and everything, and then just having your life cut short, and not enjoy that anymore, dude. It just sucks, dude.
I mean, he loved it. He loved his motorcycle riding too, man. It's a shame that shit like that happens to people. And just I mean, it's like Eddie Van Halen getting fucking his hand cut off or something. It's just unfair. You're right, dude, about his brain going out. Just unfair.
You know what? I will say this though, he made the most of his life though. I mean, the time he was on here, with the whole motorcycle and seeing the world and all that, on touring, and I mean, he always had this motto. He always had this motto of how can I make this day? What can I do awesome on this day? And he said in interviews that he's never had a boring day in his life, dude. He always found something to do, whether reading books, cycling through Africa, motorcycling through North America and Central America, and he made the most of it, man. When touring can get tedious and stuff, he made kind of something out of it where he can go and explore the world, you know what I mean? Because mostly touring has always been talked about you see the inside of a bus, inside of a hotel room, you get on stage and you move on to the next town. You know what I mean? You don't never really get to see the beautiful stuff and around you, when you're on tour. So he made the best of it. So that's my number one, Signals by Rush. So we'll let's go through our 5 honorables quickly, Joe.
So my 5 honorables were The Elder, Love at First Sting by the Scorpions, An Innocent Man by Billy Joel, Captain Fantastic by Elton John, and Flick and Switch by AC/DC.
Cool. Man, I wish I would have done them. Did you say Love at First Sting?
Yeah.
I like that album.
Jerry, you got some?
Yeah, I got Love at First Sting by the Scorpions. I got Sticky Fingers by the Stones, Heaven and Hell by Sabbath. That album to me kind of tapers and legs towards the finish line, but there's a lot of good stuff on it. I got The Elder by Kiss, and I got Permanent Vacation by Aerosmith.
Good stuff. Andy.
I've got Sticky Fingers by Rolling Stones now that I counted right. I counted wrong by put Genesis Duke, so I was wrong on that one. Maiden, Fear of the Dark, Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. I like that album. It's a little weird, that album, because the hit singles that were released on there don't mesh well with the album tracks. It's a very weird album. Aerosmith, Permanent Vacation, and Pearl Jam's Backspacer.
Mine is Aerosmith, Permanent Vacation, Depeche Mode, Ultra, one of my favorite albums by Depeche Mode. I love that album. Journey Frontiers. Actually,
I thought it was Raised on Radio.
It's Raised on Radio.
Yeah, Raised on Radio was their 9th, I think.
Yep. Well, I think I counted the movie soundtrack.
Oh, did you count? Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Dream.
You're correct.
That was on the discography, so I went with Frontiers.
You are correct.
Love It First Sting, Scorpions, and I picked Van Halen for Unlawful Knowledge as well. So those are my 5.
I forgot Love It First Sting.
Yeah. And then that's it, man. So that's our episode. Thank you, Joe and Jerry, for coming on.
Yeah,
I'll see you guys tomorrow night on the BS section.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one.
Bring your coffee. Bring your coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, Chris Elio. Yeah, we're gonna be there for a while. So
Andy, my brother, anything for next week?
Yeah, I do have something in my mind. I am thinking of doing a vinyl battle, and since I've been working on in 1965, I was going to do Rolling Stones Out of Our Heads against the Beatles' Help, but I need to double check on the tracking list.
Okay.
I know Help has 14.
I think they're both at 14.
Well, I can check real quick and I'll let you know.
Yeah, please.
I know Help is 14.
And I know I never say this on the show, but if you like this channel, subscribe to it. We never say that, but I automatically think people fucking should do that anyway. So that's why I never do it. So check out my channel, Be Cool to Me Podcast. If you want to see great concert footage, and I do a couple of shows on there as well. So, and that's really it, man. So what is it, Joe? 14?
It's 12. 12? Rolling Stones is 12.
Okay.
All right.
Are you gonna continue to do some more stuff with your daughter, man? I thought that stuff was pretty cool.
Yeah. We've just been so busy, man, and just like she just talked to me about it actually the other day, and we're gonna get back into doing our show again. So
awesome.
Hopefully,
I really enjoyed that show.
Hopefully on Sunday we'll continue. We'll start back up. I know this summer we took off the whole summer, and but now that she's back at school, we're back in the swing of things, and we're gonna get back on Sundays. So yeah, look for it this Sunday. I'm gonna. She wants to do a review of the Korn show we just saw too.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
Which was a great show.
I was gonna ask, how was it?
Yeah, so it was awesome, man.
I'm so mad they aren't coming around here on this tour. The set list looks so good.
I'll tell you what though, Gojira fucking killed it, man.
I saw them opening for I think Slipknot a couple years ago. I'd love to see them again.
I saw them open for Opeth, which was awesome.
Damn, that would be an amazing show.
That was a great double bill, man. And they played like a club in New Jersey, man. Like they played a smaller like place, dude. That was insane. But their stage show, man, did last week. Holy shit, dude! It's just amazing. Pyro and all that kind of shit. They just sounded great, man. So anyway, she wants to do a review of the concert. That's why this Sunday we'll get back on. So anyway, that's it, man. So Andy, anything else you want to add?
No. I gotta figure something out for next Wednesday, but I'll release that in a day or two.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, thank you everybody for watching, man.
I
hope everybody.
I'll say one more thing real quick.
Yeah.
Just want to say R.I.P. to J.D. Souther, man. He was a cool dude and songwriter with some great songs. New Kid in Town, Best Time I Left from the Eagles. Rest in peace. He was
rest in peace, J.D. Souther, man.
And a very good artist on his own right, of the country rock of the 70s.
Yeah.
Out of the California sound. He was a big part that never really got his due, though.
Yeah.
He really didn't, and he should have. Thanks for bringing that up, Jerry.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It's always fun to be on. I usually don't have Wednesdays. I usually work Wednesday nights, so I was off this weekend. So thanks for having me on. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
no problem, man.
Oh yeah, and also check out Jerry and I's 3 Shots Down. We just finished, and our latest episode was when the day the music died. My buddy Holly and Richie Valens and the Big Bopper. Check that out. That's our latest episode, and we'll be working on a new one next week as well. So,
cool.
The next one coming out is a trippy one when Elvis visits the White House. So check that out.
Yeah, that was interesting. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks, guys.
I'll take care. Thanks a lot, Al.
All right, man.
Have a good one.
Guys, have a good night.